Volcanoes and 7 devils.
And officials say that, unfortunately, it's probably going to take months or even years to get back to normal. I mean, major infrastructure was damaged all around the mountain roads here. Crews working to fix roads that floodwaters demolished in some areas.
There is concern debris not yet cleaned up in Florida from Helene could be tossed around by Milton, causing more damage. And amid all that, there's a political battle. Vice President Harris, focusing on storm response, called Governor DeSantis selfish, accusing him of playing politics, not answering her call or replying. DeSantis told Fox he didn't even know she reached out.
She has never called on any of the storms we've had since she's been vice president until apparently now.
Now, Vice President Harris went on CBS 60 Minutes, pressed on her changed positions on several issues and record illegal immigration.
From day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
Bill Whitaker then asked Harris,
was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem.
America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Voting to spend a lot of money. Radar is clear. It's 42 and sunny downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:02. A massive city budget passed by city leaders in Indianapolis Monday at just over $1.6 billion.
This budget is physically sound for 2025. More importantly, it operates within the revenue constraints without any tax increases.
Councilor Ron Gibson, several bipartisan councilors voted against it, though, some saying that it doesn't do enough to address crumbling infrastructure throughout the city. An Indianapolis man has a home in Florida, and he's dealt with Hurricanes Ian and Helene. Well, now he's preparing for the Category 4 Hurricane Milton. John Herrick reports.
Ralph Hill is semi-retired, and he works with a landscaping company in Indianapolis. His plan is to be back in Indiana soon.
I plan to come back Friday, but at the same time, that's open-ended. If I need to stay down here longer than that, I will.
Hill says he's doing all he can to get his Florida home boarded up while trying to find the right time to evacuate. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Meanwhile, AES Indiana is sending workers to Florida now as they're getting ready to restore power for when the storm hits. Indiana Task Force 1 has also been relocated to Georgia, a staging point for when they'll eventually be moved to Florida for Milton once it makes landfall. Securing the southern border would go a long way in lowering crime in Indiana, so says your Senator Mike Braun.
Law enforcement for too long has had to put up with conditions that are getting worse.
Braun talking with WYBC's Hammer and Nigel about his plans to lower crime in Indiana if elected governor. Braun also wants local prosecutors to be tougher on criminals. The Indiana Hoosiers are ranked 18th in the nation and will be staying that way for the next week and a half.
Looking forward to the bye week. Everybody could use a day off. And I think for the players, it's good time to kind of get rejuvenated a little bit.
Head coach Kurt Cignetti. The preseason starts tonight for the Indiana Pacers. They face the Atlanta Hawks as the team gets dialed in for the regular season, and that starts against Detroit in just over 2 weeks. Traffic on the 5s, Matt Baer.
Yeah, current northbound 465 on the west side. Stop traffic from 70 up to Sam Jones. That's a construction zone. Downtown, northbound 65-70 stop and go traffic. Michigan Street to Meridian Pad. Crash northeast side. Westbound 465 at Allisonville Road. That's on the shoulder. Crash west side Rockville Road at Country Club Road. Traffic sponsored by Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance. With Allstate, you could easily save and get quality protection. Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. I'm Matt Baer. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
It's starting to be fall in Indiana, the perfect time to tackle home projects you've been putting off before winter arrives. With Moss Roofing by your side, you don't have to do it alone. They're ready to assist with your roofing and siding needs, ensuring your home is safe and ready for the holidays. Let Moss Roofing, M-O-S-S, mossroofing.com, give your home a serious glow up with premium James Hardy siding, tough enough to face Indiana's wild weather and stylish enough to turn heads on your block. And the best part, their free inspections come with a 3D design preview so you could see your home's stunning makeover before the work begins. Contact Moss Roofing for a job done right every single time at Moss Roofing, M-O-S-S, mossroofing.com, or call 317-747-3665. Moss Roofing, 317-747-3665. 3665. That's 747-3665. Or online at Moss, M-O-S-S, mossroofing.com. And don't forget, tell them Tony Katz sent you.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Absolute Comfort, your American Standard air dealer serving central Indiana.
The forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
For today, sunny and quiet. Our high temperatures checking in the lower 70s, just above average for this time of year. Tonight, into the mid-40s with clear skies. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
It's chilly out there, 42 and sunny downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Well, we're playing the feud. 93 WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Ethan Hatcher from Saturday Night on the Circle. And for Casey today, Kev's here. And yes, the feud today, it is not between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. It's between Kamala Harris and Ron DeSantis. So you've been following this?
Not intimately, but I saw this on the prep, and I think that the conflict is fascinating because it appears Ron DeSantis isn't wanting to play ball like Chris Christie.
Well,
remember when Hurricane Sandy came around?
That's right. So obviously Helene went through. Florida handled it pretty well. DeSantis was open about, and Biden confirmed that they had a pretty cordial little back and forth during that. And DeSantis basically told Biden, we're fine. Go give the stuff to the people who need. Now, that's clearly not happening. And a little bit later on, we're going to have a guest on the show who has been in regular contact with people in Western North Carolina and the horrific circumstances they're going through and try to give you a better picture of what's actually happening there. But for all of that, DeSantis and Biden were fine. He said, we talked to him. We don't need it. Go on the merry way. Now, when you look at the response to Helene from the Biden administration in Western North Carolina, would you have any faith as the governor of anywhere, Ethan, that these people are going to help you at all? What would be the point of talking to them?
Over the last 3.5 odd years, Rob, not much that the federal government has done engenders much confidence.
So then on top of that, last time I checked, at least on paper, Joe Biden was still the president of the United States, right?
Yep.
And so what possible reason, unless we're just now admitting, hey, Grandpa Vegetable isn't in charge of anything, and Kamala has been running the country for the past 3.5 years. I've never heard of a vice president trying to inject him or now herself into hurricane relief. Why? Because the president controls FEMA. The president controls the flow and the distribution of the money.
Correct. So what is basically happening here is we all know the dirty little secret. Kamala is trying to get a photo op. It was very beneficial in the 2012 election when Chris Christie embraced President Barack Obama in the months before Election Day, and Kamala Harris is desperately searching for any kind of boost, any kind of bump to give her an edge over Trump in the general election because she's fearful of the imminent defeat.
Yeah, so she being Kamala Harris, claims that she called DeSantis, and DeSantis was like, yeah, no, I don't have time for this broad. I'm not playing this game. I'm not being used as a pawn. I'm not taking the phone call. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So, of course, what is it about Democrat women running for high-level offices that are perpetual victims? I mean, we saw those governors' debates, and every third word from Jennifer McCormick was Jezebel spirit this and Jezebel spirit that, and I'm so offended. And now Kamala Harris, these women are supposed to be such fighters, and I am woman, hear me roar, and I can take on no man will hold me down, and they can't sprint to be victims fast enough, Ethan.
Since 2016, victim status has been, has been a benefit. It's been fashionable, for lack of a better term, for these elected officials to embrace, and for many cultural representatives to embrace victim status, but they're finding that strategy is wearing off after, nearly 8 years of the the same tactic.
So Kamala Harris goes to the tarmac and she gets asked about this, and she can't lay in fast enough about how she's a victim and Ron DeSantis is political and blah, blah, blah. Take a listen.
President, Governor DeSantis, NBC is reporting Governor DeSantis is ignoring your calls on hurricanes, resources, and help. How does that hurt the situation here?
You know, moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first.
Okay, so let's just pretend this actually did happen. Now, we'll get to that in a second because DeSantis totally disputes her account of events. But let's pretend this happened, Ethan. Again, you're the vice president.
Right.
At least unless we're just admitting the past 3.5 years has been a giant fraud, which it has. But now if we're admitting that, you don't control anything. B, you went to these swanky fundraisers while people are literally dying in Western North Carolina and didn't appear to give two damns about any of those people. So what good are you actually? And 3, DeSantis is probably like, I don't need you because we're a pretty efficiently run state. And if I actually do need something after the storm goes through, I'll call the guy that the American people are still led to believe is in charge.
She's throwing a tantrum like a petulant child and projecting the political gamesmanship, as you pointed out, is entirely on the Democrat end. She's trying to get a photo op. She's trying to paint, the governor Florida as the enemy, when in actuality it's the federal government who has let down Americans across the coast, which have been battered by these terrible hurricanes.
All right, so DeSantis then got asked. Now, he went on Hannity last night, but he was asked in a press conference about this yesterday, and he says this never happened.
Saying you're not aware of that, and if so, how are you not aware of that?
So Biden called me a couple days ago with Helene when I was on the helicopter. I didn't have any issues. They had helped us with what we've done. I'm not aware that he's tried to call since then. Certainly hasn't called my phone, so I don't know quite where they're getting that information. At the same time, we got the approvals that we need. If there's something else that we need, I'll hop on the phone very quickly, whether that's the FEMA administrator or the president, and we will press the case to be able to get approvals for what we need in Florida. But we have gotten approvals for everything that we've asked for.
Code in this area?
I didn't know that she had called, so I'm not sure who they called. They didn't call me, and their characterization of it was something that they did. It wasn't anything that anybody in my office did in terms of saying that it was political.
Given the severity of the storm, since I did want to ask you about politics right now in terms of should
I don't really want to answer questions about it. This is not a time for politics. No, excuse me, Gary. You and your publication will twist anything that's done to try to make a political agenda. That's what you do. That's how you get your clicks. I understand that. I understand that's the business model. Well, but I don't want to talk about politics because, but I have a feeling that however you do, you guys will find a way to frame it. That's just your shtick. I get it. It's fine. But I don't want to participate in it. We have had to respond to a Category 4 hurricane. We've had to prepare and now respond to something that may hit as a major hurricane, may be Category 4, may even be bigger than that. We hope that it does, but that should be the focus. And I think some of these questions are trying to create some type of political angle where there's just none there.
Okay, all right. So look, I'm just going to put this out there. We could have had Ron DeSantis. I was
thinking that same thing. The way that he so effectively refuted the media narrative, like he spotted it, called it out, and turned it around on its face right away. I was on the same wave.
Look, and I got to vote for Trump, and it is what it is. But it's like we tried to tell you people for an entire year that you could have had this, and he would be up like 15 points at this point, and we would be cruising to all the Trump policies that you liked. And I mean, look at how well, you're right. He handles it so well. And he's not taking their crap, but he says it in a way where you just walk away going, yeah, he's 100% right, and you people are idiots.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm going to say
So
it.
close, Rob. So close.
Well, we weren't really close at all. But that's okay. So the point in all of this, though, is he's right. She has no business being involved in this unless we're now admitting out loud that she runs the country, which she don't want to do that because she doesn't want to take credit for the condition of the country.
Didn't Biden already admit that she was running the country?
This is the bigger part of it, right? Is that she is the vice president. She has no reason to call him. She had zero interest in helping those people in North Carolina. She went to that fundraiser out in San Francisco or wherever it was. He's in charge, he being Biden, at least on paper, and at least we're told. So if it ain't him or it ain't FEMA, I don't need to deal with you, lady. And we all know why you're calling. It's not like you actually care about these people. So I'm done here. I love it. Thank you. All right, one more clip before we get to a break real quick. So Corinne Jean-Pierre got asked about this. Because, of course, this is the lie that the left tells us. No different than the Planned Parenthood argument, Ethan, which is with Planned Parenthood, oh, yeah, they get federal money, but that money doesn't go to abortion. But you guys do abortions. Yeah, but that money doesn't go to abortions. But we're sending you money. Yeah, but that money doesn't go to abortions. If you're sending money to something, then the money is going to that, and that is a thing. And now we're seeing the same argument play out with the illegal immigrants and all the billions of dollars we spent on them with FEMA money, where the argument from the left is, well, yeah, but that's a different pot of money. Yeah, sure. The people, like, here's the math equation. People in North Carolina desperately suffering. No money for them. Illegal immigrants getting billions of dollars. Same organization failing to do things over here is doing the thing over here. Yeah, but it's separate money, man. This is you people aren't being genuine at all. Yeah, but these things are both happening from the same organization. So Corinne Jean-Pierre got asked about this yesterday, and she's so focused on the fact that the monies aren't coordinated with each other or related to each other that she inadvertently won't even deny, yeah, the illegal immigrants got all the money.
So, disaster relief, this is a falsehood. Disaster relief funds used on immigrants illegally in the U.S. The fact is, no money is being diverted from response needs. That's the fact.
So she doesn't dispute they're getting the money. She doesn't dispute that the billions of dollars of our money, the printed money, because we have no money, all the money we have is printed because we're trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in debt, that they're getting that money. She just wants you to know that the pool that went to the illegal immigrants, I don't know, I guess in her world, it couldn't have gone to help the people of North. It's a very weird hill to die on.
It's the same con they've tried over and over and over again. Let's not forget, we heard this same argument when it came to releasing, what was it, millions, if not billions of dollars to Iran. Oh, that's just for humanitarian purposes only. That won't be used for missiles to attack Israel. It's just for humanitarian purposes, Rob. I mean, it's the same con. They try it over and over again.
All right, yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the Hamas terrorist attack on Israel, and J.D. Vance, man, he was on fire yesterday. We'll play that audio for you. Coming up next, Ethan's in for Casey, 93 WIBC.
Occasionally, vice presidential debates are interesting.
Who am I? Why am I here?
Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy.
Yet,
Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future.
That is a damning non-answer.
still interesting.
Just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield,
The
Ohio.
rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check.
Follow the race to the finish line
Not been perfect, and I'm a knucklehead at times.
on your 2024 election information station, 93 WIBC.
Hi, this is Denny Smith, and Halloween is coming. I'm a big fan of Zero Res because their platinum cleaning systems are truly the best you can find. And with all the spooky stuff that's ended up in your carpets, just know that Zero Res systems can and will safely and effectively remove all the deeply embedded dirt, dander, and even the scary bacteria in your carpets and floors. The game changer is the patented ZR water that uses no soap, leaves no residue, and there are no harsh chemicals because they just aren't needed to get things really clean. That's why Zero Res is my go-to carpet cleaning company, because I know that they can really get rid of all of the uglies. I just love these folks. And remember, there's something scarier than ghosts and goblins hiding in your home, and that's your air ducts. This month, take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Now mention WIBC, get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at $129, plus you get $75 off air duct cleaning too. Call 317-388-5141 or book things online at ZeroResIndy.com. That's ZeroResIndy.com.
As summer fades and the cool breeze of fall sets in, it's the perfect time to get back to the basics, especially when it comes to your financial future. At Howard Bailey Financial, we believe in simplifying your retirement plan. Our team of advisors help you build a customized retirement strategy that is designed to help reduce risk, increase income, and mitigate tax. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your plan, we're here to guide you every step of the way. It's never too early or too late to make sure your financial future is secure. Text BASICS to 888-494-5004 to download your complimentary retirement planning toolkit today. That's BASICS to 888-494-5004. Howard Bailey Financial. Back to the basics. Forward to your future. Howard Bailey Securities LLC is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. Please see disclosures at howardbailey.com.
Pat Sullivan here, hoping not to spook you, but did you know that you could have a pipe leaking and not even know it? My friends at Hope Plumbing highly recommend the installation of Streamlabs, which is a water leak detection at your fingertips. A Streamlabs system will detect, notify, and prevent possibly thousands of dollars worth of damage by automatically shutting off the water. Call Hope Plumbing today at 641-HOPE to schedule an appointment to keep those pipes from giving you a fright.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Advent will get you breathing freely again with simple in-office solutions like turbinate reduction along with balloon sinuplasty that really can change your life.
Chris Wettican here, owner of Absolute Comfort. Go to AbsoluteComfort.org to lower your monthly bills.
Savings on heating and cooling at Absolute Comfort, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
So yesterday was the one-year anniversary of the horrible, brutal Hamas terrorist attack against Israel. And Ethan, by the way, Ethan Hatcher's in for Casey today. Ethan, one of the amazing things to me over the past year is how that terrorist attack has removed the mask from so many people about how anti-Semitic they actually are in this country.
That is wild, and it is such an intense feeling of hatred that has manifested in the strangest of places, even here in the Midwest. You've got loads, like my own communist representative.
Your buddy!
Yeah, from District 13, Jesse Brown. His biggest beef with Kamala is she is too pro-Israel.
Yeah.
Too pro-Israel from the Democrat Party. I mean, they rabidly hate the nation state of Israel.
Well, we had this stat the other day that for the first time, maybe ever, Arab Americans, certainly in modern history, Arab Americans are favoring Donald Trump in the polls. And the big reason people think for this is the response by Biden and Kamala to this Israeli Hamas war, and they're mad at how some people are mad at how pro-Israel Biden has remained. It doesn't make any sense.
Isn't that fascinating? Well, it especially doesn't make any sense because they're moving to Trump, who moved the embassy to Jerusalem, who moved the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. And I'm old enough to remember when that was going to spark World War III, if that ever happened. And we've since, long since departed that came and went.
And I'm certainly not saying that is every Arab American, and there are many Arab Americans who are against Kamala and Biden because they've just ruined this country and they're patriotic people. But it is fascinating, and like you said, it's not even, at least here in the United States, many of these people who are pro-terrorist, pro-Hamas aren't even Arab. They're like this lunatic guy that represents you.
No. I had a local foodies group here on Facebook that I was a part of for the Indianapolis community, and I got kicked out because True story, Rob. Because people were encouraging you to buy Palestinian olive oil to support a good cause. And of course, I started going down the rabbit hole of like, what good cause could you be supporting with this Palestinian olive oil? The cause to kill Jews, of course. And I'm like, well, that doesn't seem like a very good cause to me.
And they kicked you
and
out.
They kicked me out. So, I mean, again, this is largely Caucasian suburban women that have taken up this cause of hating Jews. It's this. We live in strange times, Rob.
Yes.
I'm at a loss for words. It's so utterly bizarre.
All right, so we've got some audio of J.D. Vance, and he said yesterday, this war is over when Hamas gives up.
There are literal pro-Hamas protesters around the country calling for a ceasefire. And what they're really calling for is for a unilateral surrender. I have a different message. The only way this war is going to end is when Hamas gives up its arms and stops the fighting and lets the hostages come home. That is the way to end this conflict.
Yeah, that's perfect. All right, I want to make sure we get to some of this other audio here, but he's
utterly correct.
You're right. I mean,
they started it. They can end it.
These people are never going to stop. They're never going to never stop trying to destroy Israel. It's the central theme of their existence. I mean, it is, you have to just wipe them off the face of the earth wherever they are. Go find them, go kill them. These nation states that support them, like Iran, that is the only option left because it's been going on for thousands of years. All right, one more clip here. J.D. Vance took on these Americans who we talked about that are cheering for Hamas.
And so I'd ask my Americans who chant that terrible thing, ask yourself, what river and what sea? When you say from the river to the sea, what you are fundamentally promoting and fundamentally celebrating is the end of a Jewish state altogether.
He's right. There's no gray area on this. I mean,
it's what the phrase means. Yeah, they're literally telling you their intentions.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, there is a bill that is working its way, or going to begin to work its way through the Indiana General Assembly, that would eliminate permanently property taxes in the state of Indiana. We had the bill's author, J.D. Prescott, on. I guess it's been a couple months ago now. He has gotten a lot of good feedback on this. He's made some changes to the bill. He is, I mean, really doing a nice job trying to put forward a serious plan that would fund local governments and would still get Indiana the property tax game. We'll get an update on that bill with J.D. Prescott when we return. Ethan's in for Casey, 93 WIBC.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9379. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9379. That's 800-575-9379. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Attention all Hoosiers. A historically important election is headed our way. The time to prepare for the election is now. Are you registered to vote? Do you have a plan to vote? The Indiana Secretary of State's office wants to remind you, registering to vote or updating your registration is fast, easy, and can be done online at indianavoters.com. You must be registered 30 days before Election Day. So get registered and get out to vote. This message is sponsored by the Indiana Secretary of State's office.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
Weaker, but still dangerous. Radar is clear. It is 44 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. Hurricane Milton remains a Category 4 storm this morning as it heads towards the west coast of Florida. The latest update from the National Hurricane Center puts maximum sustained winds at 145 miles an hour. The storm is expected to make landfall southwest of Tampa by sometime tomorrow night. Hezbollah getting bolder while Israel says it's taking out military targets. Fox's Jonathan Savage.
60,000 people have been evacuated from northern Israel because of near-daily rocket attacks by Hezbollah. The Lebanon-based militants warn they'll soon strike deeper into Israel, extending the need to evacuate. Israel, meanwhile, says it's taken out several Hezbollah launchers used to fire on Haifa. The city was hit yesterday for the first time in 18 years. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
A European spacecraft is on its way to examine an asteroid that NASA knocked off course 2 years ago. The craft launched yesterday morning from Florida and will travel to an asteroid called Deformos, which deliberately was crashed into by a NASA spacecraft to test if objects could be knocked off of their path. Your opening bell report on 93 WYBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. Some rebound to start the day. The Dow was up 67 points at the opening bell to 42,312. The NASDAQ up 95 to 20,088. And the S&P 500 is up 24 to 5,769. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WYBC.com.
Moments like making my kids my famous meatballs mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that has spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative NBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Just when I was getting used to being a single mom to 2 kids, I learned I was about to be laid off. I had no idea how I would make ends meet. Then I heard about the Indiana Emergency Rental Assistance Program, and I applied for help.
This is Diane's story. Indiana renters who are struggling to pay rent can call 211 or visit indianahousingnow.org to apply for rental assistance through this limited time program. We're here for Diane. We're here for renters. We're here for you.
Based on a real story, program funded by the U.S. Department of Treasury.
If you recently lost health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Marcus when he lost his job, and Keisha when she turned 26 and lost her parents' insurance, and Elena when she went off Medicaid. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-285-0395. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-285-0395. 800-285-0395. 800-285-0395.
Go now to bwindow.com and receive $400 off per window and $250 off any patio or entry door, plus 2.99% financing.
Just because you don't
So property taxes are still the big thing on the campaign trail, and our next guest, well, he's still working on a plan to get rid of it altogether. It's Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC. Ethan's in for Casey today. And, you know, Ethan, we've talked about this a lot, and I think you've seen this play out on the campaign trail, that property taxes are the issue. As much as the Democrats wanted to be abortion, property taxes are the issue that most normal, rational, sane human beings are talking about this year.
Despite the earnest desires of some in the establishment, property taxes have really moved the needle among Hoosier voters.
Yeah, and so, you know, we've long had the argument that obviously, like, Braun's got a plan to change it, and McCormick's got a plan that is just a giveaway to the local governments with state money that bankrupts the state in 4 years, and then Rainwater's got this kind of sales tax type of thing. But we've talked about this, and our audience talked about this. You got to get rid of them altogether because the government has no business having ownership in your home.
Correct.
It didn't help you buy it. They shouldn't have a forever lien on your property.
They're taxing you on unrealized gains.
And one guy has taken that and said, I agree, let's go. And he's State Representative J.D. Prescott joins us now. All right, so you represent like 93 counties, right?
No, it's Randolph, Blackford County is complete, 2/3 of Jay, 1/3 of Delaware, and a little sliver of Henry County. So
all right.
Portions of 5 counties.
You kind of taken the ball in this and said, all right, let's picture a world where property taxes don't exist. Obviously, you know, I've been critical of Rainwater, and I love Rainwater, but the plan is not legitimate because his lieutenant governor basically declared when he goes to the sales tax thing, it'll be Hunger Games with the local governments, how it's divided up. He has no numbers on it. You said, look, it's not necessarily a bad idea, but we got to have something that has some numbers with it. You've been working on a bill that you can present to the General Assembly. And by the way, you're on Ways and Means, which is big because you control the money.
Yes, I am. I'm on Ways and Means. I've served on Ways and Means for the last 2 terms. I'm expecting to go back on Ways and Means this next session. And so, yes, I've been working this in detail.
You've been here before, but let's kind of talk very high level about the plan that you've been putting out and working on. And by the way, you've been tinkering with this. You've been doing the way it's supposed to be done, I think. You've been saying, look, here's my plan. Then you hear from people. You hear from this group, that group, lawmakers. And it's a work in progress. Last time you hear people like, well, there's a flaw here and a flaw. You're saying, wait a second, this is not perfect. It's still a work in progress.
Absolutely. So I'm still working through the plan. There's still a funding formula that I'm working through that's not perfect yet that I'm still working back through. I mean, you got to put together the initial plan, see how the numbers are going to work out, see how it needs tweaked and adjusted. And really, where I'm at now with this plan is really been helped by the feedback that I've received from the listeners being out here on the number 1 rated radio.
Yeah, that's right. We're number one. That's right.
Yeah. So it's
our
the
fan.
feedback coming back from listeners. I've been out talking to people around the state and the district and other areas of the state that I've been in. So getting that feedback's helped me put together. And, you know, sometimes there's things that you just, as legislators, we don't think about or unintended consequences until we hear that feedback from others, whether it be people in local units of government, constituents. So it's good to hear that feedback. That's how we build good legislation.
Well, this is go ahead, Ethan.
Well, I was going to say one of the fear-mongering about eliminating or reducing property taxes is that, oh, well, all of a sudden you're going to be cutting the police, you're going to be cutting the schools, which is the Washington Monument strategy. Anytime you suggest reducing the size of government, they immediately go to the most visible, most desirable elements of government and say, well, what about this? So how does your plan address those criticisms and maintain funding for the most visible, most important elements of government, making sure the roads are paved, making sure that the trash is taken out, making sure that the police are staffed, et cetera, which contradicts the fear-mongering against reducing taxes.
Yep, absolutely. So my plan fully replaces the revenue that we have with property tax revenue. So I'll just go through the plan. So first off, completely eliminate property taxes, include not just for homeowners, all property taxes, including business personal property.
Oh!
By doing so, you
now that's changed since the last time you were here, right? I mean,
mine's always been a complete elimination.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, we're done.
Including business. By doing so, you eliminate the assessor's office in all 92 counties.
Yeah, that's smart.
Including township assessors, which saves $62.5 million across the state.
Oh, wow.
So right there, that's savings to local units of government that they could redirect towards police, fire, EMS, other needed services.
Interesting.
And then also, it gets rid of tax abatements. It gets rid of TIF districts. And then we get rid of school referendums. Those go away.
Yeah, how about that?
Then we replace the property tax revenue with a 7% sales tax on services. So here's where it's changed a little. when I first came on, I talked about exempting all business-to-business transactions. To make the numbers work and still be able to exempt medical, I couldn't exempt all business-to-business. And based on feedback that I received from listeners, from members in the General Assembly, so the exemptions now are anything that's already sales tax exempt, think nonprofits, direct production of food, those sort of things, that would be still remain sales tax exempt. Medical would be sales tax exempt, including nursing homes, assisted livings, because we're also trying to get medical costs down.
Yeah.
So that would be sales tax exempt.
Like the dentist?
Yeah, that'd be medical.
Yeah.
And then education would be, and most education would already be sales tax exempt because most would be in that nonprofit world, but that way private universities are on the same level playing field as nonprofit.
J.D. Prescott's our guest. He's a state representative. He has, what are the nine counties that you have? What are they?
Randolph, Blackford, Delaware, Jay, and Henry counties.
I told you before you came on this, I'm not going to remember all those, so I'll just let you say them each time. But anyway, you have the important thing is you're on Ways and Means. That's a very powerful committee. State government, you have a bill to eliminate property taxes. It would replace it with a 7% sales tax on services. All right, so people like me say the local governments have too much money. I can say this because I was a very successful member of local government. I think they have way too much money. When you got, Noblesville spending $36 million on an arena for the Mad Ants, or Westfield spending $12 million on tennis courts, why do we have to replace all the revenue? Why do we have to just give them everything? Isn't part of it you guys are kind of being a little squirrely with some of the money that you're having? Could I cut this down to I chose 5 in that debate I did with Rainwater because I called you and you gave me a number, so I said I'm running with that. Why are we giving them all the money?
Well, the first thing to look at too is not all local units of government are created equal. If you look at some of the smaller rural counties, they're operating on much tighter margins than some of the more populous counties. And then the other thing, too, is literally to sell it and get this passable.
Yeah.
To get enough members of my colleagues. They don't want to see their communities getting less revenue.
Why are they so in love? There's so many of these state reps and senators that are so in love with bloated local government. What is their obsession? Why are they like, yeah, Noblesville should totally have $36 million for the Mad Ants. Bring it on. What is the deal with these guys?
That's a fair question. I'm going to let each representative answer that on their own, to be
They
honest.
like their country clubs, Rob. They like their country clubs.
All right, so
but no, I could go through and look at areas of local unit of government where there's a lot of waste and then we could cut costs. And I think that is a worthwhile discussion. But to sell this bill, to actually get it a passable bill, I don't believe it's doable without showing that we can replace the revenue.
Okay, so let's talk about distribution. This is one of the things that I got really upset with Rainwater about, which was his lieutenant governor got asked, because he wants to go to the sales tax thing, which is fine. But she got asked in that lieutenant governor's debate, okay, how does this money get distributed? And she basically declared Hunger Games. She's like, they'll figure it out. It'll be fine. Like your local school system is going to tell the city government, oh, yeah, take as much as you want. We'll figure out the rest. You actually have a distribution formula.
I do. So first one would be schools. So roughly 45% of your property taxes goes to schools for their operation fund.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
It is. So I'd take 45% of the revenue generated, put it into a school's operation bucket. That money gets distributed per ADM count, so money follows the student.
So we're still in. I like that. So it's, hey, if you're one of these schools that's been super arrogant, like, I don't know, Brownsburg, and you got a bunch of kids that are going to private school because you're radical left DEI bullcrap, you would lose money then.
This is also school choice.
Yeah, I love this. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So money would follow the student. And then another 20% would go towards counties, 20% towards cities, then a smaller bracket for townships, and then the last area would be TIF districts. Now, I said TIF districts are going away, but there's outstanding debt obligations. Right. That has to be paid. Once those TIF districts are paid, that money would then be redistributed back into the formula to the other local units of government. So we're paying down that debt obligation because we have to pay those bonds off. But then once those bonds are paid, that TIF is dissolved. For counties and cities, it's two separate formulas, but they're similar. I'm looking at population and miles of roadway as the two primary factors to get the funding formula back to. Now I'm going to need to weight population a little heavier. The first report that I came back, I had them equal, and really just because I needed to know what the baseline was so I could adjust that formula. Now that I've got that back from LSA, now I can adjust the formula to make that fair based on a more urban county, and the same for a rural county.
J.D. Prescott's our guest state representative. He's got a bill to eliminate property tax. He's going to begin pushing it this year in the Indiana General Assembly. Ethan.
There's a couple of things that I really like about this plan. And first of all, it makes everything completely transparent. All of the numbers are out on the table. It makes it open to debate, and all of the Hoosiers understand where the money will be going. The second thing, and it ties into the first thing that I really like about this, is it eliminates the school referendums, and I'm sure Rob will agree, because children are often used as human shields to extort the Hoosier taxpayer, and taking away that power from the school systems would restore balance to the tax system overall. So those, I'm in love with this. This is great.
Yeah, if you have more students coming into your school, I mean, then you could justify expanding to your school, adding more. So you're going to have more of those operation dollars, which is meant to fund the buildings, right? So it makes sense.
Okay, so a couple minutes left with J.D. Prescott about this bill to get rid of property taxes. What has the reception been? I mean, the ultimate thing that matters is your colleagues in the House and then over to the Senate, right? So what has the reception been from them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had a lot of great conversations with members on Ways and Means, especially in our Republican caucus, and other members in the General Assembly. You know, at this point, most members are asking a lot of really good questions. They're intrigued by the idea, but no one is really going to say, yes, I'm 100% on board until they see how this is going to affect their community, right? And if another member was coming to me and asking me, hey, let's flip the taxing system upside down and replace it with somebody else, I'm like, okay, I want to see the numbers first. But so that's a fair question to ask. So as I'm having these conversations, showing them how the numbers are working, showing how it's going to work, I believe it's building support. I've gotten more members that are willing to sign on and support. I'm working with Senator Alexander and Senator Gaskell over in the Senate. They're jumping on and all in as well. And we're really building up support with this bill, and I think it's going to be.
This not going to pass this coming year, though, right? I mean, you got a target date, like, hey, if I can get this done in 2 or 3 years, I'll deem this a success.
Well, sure, not with Eric Holcomb as governor.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But even next year with Braun coming in, or whoever, but like with Braun coming in, it's going to.
This is going to take some time.
Right.
You're right. I don't want to give false hope to the listeners it's going to happen overnight, because this is such a monumental change that it will take time to sell it. If I can get this done within the next 2 to 3 years, I would call that a big success. I'm trying this year. I'm not giving up on this session, but
it's going to be a lot easier.
It's going to take some time.
It's going to be a lot easier if you work with a rainwater administration coming in.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I think it'll be a lot easier to work with the Braun administration.
Here
myself.
we go. All right. So if people want to be a part of this solution, this is the big thing, right? Like we've talked about, whether it's Braun or Rainwater or whoever the governor is, it's going to take a big push from the people to motivate these state reps, because it's basically people versus the local governments coming up next year. What can people do to help you help the people help you help them?
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out to your state reps, your state senators. Let them know what you would envision as the right replacement, whether that be a tweak to the property tax system that others are proposing, or whether you like this plan that I'm proposing to completely eliminate property taxes and replace it with a more fair tax, a consumption-based tax. And reach out to my office if you have concerns or questions about the bill. My email address is h33@iga.in.gov.
And every state lawmaker is whatever their House district is. So give yours again.
h33@iga.in.gov. So whatever House district you're in, just put H and then that number.
It takes like 2 minutes worth of effort. I mean, come on, people. You can pull this off, right? I mean, we got to have a little skin in the game. But, man, I love that you're doing this. It's a great conversation starter. And like Ethan said, you got details, which is good. And now we're in the game of, hey, you're not going to run out of police or firemen if we get rid of property taxes, right? I mean, local governments are disgusting.
We need our tennis courts, Rob.
The views of Rob Kendall do not necessarily.
We need our G League sports teams.
We represent those of J.D. Prescott. J.D., man, thanks for doing this, brother. I appreciate you.
Yep, no problem. Appreciate you.
Yeah, it's Kendall Casey Show. Ethan's in for Casey, 93 WIBC.
The victims of Hurricane Helene need our help. Go to salarmy.us/Indiana EDS. That's salarmy.us/Indiana EDS. From the Salvation Army and WIBC.
Jennifer McCormick backed Hillary Clinton for president. And when McCormick was in charge of education in Indiana, our schools ranked at the bottom. She even opposed school choice. Then McCormick backed Joe Biden for president and supported his $1 trillion spending scheme that caused all the inflation. Now she runs for governor on a plan that would increase your energy bills, create a new Office of Environmental Justice, and ban gas stoves. Jennifer McCormick, hopelessly liberal.
This is Mike Braun. Here's my plan for Indiana. I'll enforce immigration laws even when the federal government fails to act, keeping our streets safe and secure. And my plan lowers more costs. I'll cut property taxes, reduce energy bills, and expand parental choice and school voucher programs. Indiana needs strong leadership. We can get it done.
Mike Braun, Governor. Paid for by Mike Braun for Indiana.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code EASY, or text EASY to 511-511 and claim 40% off. Roundhouseprovisions.com, code EASY.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text EASY to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Looking for a great deal on a new Lincoln? Come to Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers. 0% for 60 months is back. Get 0% APR for 60 months on every new 2024 Lincoln Navigator and get a $4,000 discount. You can also take $3,000 off every new 2024 Lincoln Corsair, 70 available. We look forward to seeing you at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers.
Well-qualified buyers with approved credit. Not all buyers will qualify. Taxes and dealer fees extra. Stock L24401, MSRP 107425. Stock L24284, MSRP 43435. See dealer for complete details.
Truck drivers, are you tired of missing out on valuable time at home? At Midwest Logistics Systems, you can find a local dedicated job that gets you home every day. Plus, we offer predictable Monday through Friday schedules with occasional Saturdays. As an MLS driver, you'll haul 100% no-touch freight, earn performance and safety bonuses, and have access to full benefits. Don't wait. Upgrade your driving job today. Search jobs and apply now at MidwestLogisticsSystems.com. That's MidwestLogisticsSystems.com.
Well-changing question. Are you keeping as much of your investment gains as possible? High taxes can erode returns quickly, so you need a tax-optimized portfolio. At Creative Planning, our money managers and specialists work together to make sure your portfolio and wealth are managed in a tax-efficient manner. It's what you keep that really matters. Why not give your wealth a second look? Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Never miss your favorite shows on WIBC. Get your content to go.
Would you like fries with that?
Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, Hammer and Nigel, Tony Kennett, The Gun Guy, Home and Garden. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
So it was one of the most anticipated movies in a long time, and it is a disaster, both in terms of quality and at the box office. 93 WIBC. Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Ethan Hatcher in for Casey. So you've seen the Joker sequel? Yeah, no, I've not seen the sequel. I saw the original Joker, Todd Phillips Joker movie when it came out in 2019. Now, it was a pleasant surprise. So that movie had a $60 million budget, and it became a $1 billion movie. Yes, I think it was one of the first R-rated comic book movies to cross the $1 billion threshold, which was supposed to be something that could never happen because an R rating would alienate too much of the general audience. Yeah, that's correct. So it got 11 Oscar nominations. Joaquin Phoenix won Best Actor. They won 2 of them overall. It was, by just a resounding success, and it is. It is. I'm not a person who goes to the movies anymore, but it is one of the few movies I've sat through, period, at home, anywhere. I thought it was really well done. Yes, very well done. The problem is that the director, Todd Phillips, despises comic book fans and comic book movies and comic book superheroes and comic books in general. So real quick, so if you, we can spoiler alert at this point because it's been 5 years. The Joker is not a comic book guy in this movie. Joaquin Phoenix is a real dude who turns into the Joker at the very end. But it isn't. He's very loosely based on the comic book character. That's correct, right? While the Batman movies, the Joker, whether it's Nicholson or Heath Ledger or whatever, it's
totally outside of the mainstream of things that could actually happen. There's always a wink, wink, nod, nod, laugh, laugh. This Joker movie actually is in the mainstream. He's a real guy, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, and so the thesis of the director, Todd Phillips, when he made the original one, as he was thumbing his nose at the general audience, said, oh, well, we're going to sneak serious cinema in the disguise of a comic book movie and give you a real film. But he hates comic book lovers. He hates the fans. And so the sequel, Joker 2, Folie à Deux, is fully a dud, because everything in its construction was meant to tear down the character that Todd Phillips himself created. And it could be for a litany of reasons, some of them political. It could be as simple as the fact that when he made the first one, he said, that's it, I'm done, it's a standalone, and we're off. And Warner Brothers came a knocking and offered him the Brinks truck full of cash. And he's like, well,
yes.
Okay.
So it was $190 million budget. It did it did 40 million in the opening weekend,
which is bad.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get anywhere near that going forward. And the problem with it is the reviews are terrible. So if you were on the fence, you're like, yeah, but it got awful reviews. I ain't going to that.
Some of this could be the involvement of one Lady Gaga, because it would not be the first time that she has associated herself with a sequel of an R-rated franchise that totally flopped. I'm thinking of Sin City: A Dame to Kill For. I'm thinking of Machete Kills, and now Joker 2, Folie à Deux. She has made an appearance and it flopped.
Yeah, women destroy everything, right, Ethan? There we
Stupid
go.
Chicks. Ruining stuff.
That's it for Casey. Yeah, Kevin's laughing because that's funny. Elon Musk sat down with Tucker Carlson. This interview was fascinating. We'll play some of the audio when we come back. Kendall and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
It's a bully that will not let up until you do something about it. And the worst part is that the bullying happens when you're at your most vulnerable. You might as well have your hands tied behind your back while that bully puts one hand over your mouth and pinches your nose with the other. He'll let up, let you catch your breath, and then he'll do it again. Sleep apnea is a bully. Not long ago, we heard our friend John tell you about how his bully was stopping his breathing in his sleep over 145 times an hour. Think about what that can do to your body's organs. It's no wonder that the snowball effects of long-term obstructive sleep apnea are heart disease, stroke, even depression and anxiety. But this problem is solvable, and we have solutions, and you'll be surprised at how simple they are.
To date, Advent has solved over 40,000 breathing triangle problems. It's time to put that bully in his place. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows. When you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Results may vary.
Mortgage rates are down and creating more active buyers and sellers. If you've been waiting, now is a great time to sell your home before more homes flood the market, driving down prices. Maximize your home sale now with the market expert who delivers maximum money in less time, Mark Dietl. Perhaps you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades needed to sell your home. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Dee and Andrew in Noblesville had to say about working with Mark Dietl. We were done with the rat race and ready to live the dream of buying a camper and traveling west. We needed top cash from our home to make the dream work. Thankfully, we hired Mark Dietl, who delivered big time. Our home sold for our asking price in 4 days on the market. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietl today at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietl.com. It's Mark, DIETEL.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
18 years ago, Tom and Sarah Joyner started Joyner Homes in Greenfield, and to date, they've built hundreds of homes across central Indiana. The homes they build are different than the cookie-cutter houses you see today. They build homes that have the character like the homes of yesterday, but have modern features, character-rich features, exposed wood beams, stone fireplaces, custom build-ins, and smart design. Building a new home doesn't have to be a headache. Joyner Homes will build you a truly unique, beautiful home. Visit joynerhomes.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Coming up in 2 minutes, it passed, but not without a lot of counselors saying no first. Plus, where Indiana search and rescue experts are heading next, and how a cell phone store robbery sentence has a candidate for governor talking about crime. I'm Kirk Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recyclers Studios after Fox News. You're listening to 93 WYBC, WYBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
They keep boarding up, stocking up, and or packing up. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. As Hurricane Milton slowly moves closer to Florida's west coast.
If you are in one of those surge-prone areas, take action now.
Governor Ron DeSantis also says as people evacuated and a lot of traffic with long lines at gas stations. Even though some ran out, there's no shortage.
Last night, 27 fuel trucks were escorted by the Florida Highway Patrol.
Milton is a Category 4 hurricane with 145-mile-an-hour winds now, and its storm surge threat stretches from the Tampa area down to Fort Myers, hitting areas already inundated by the storm surge from Hurricane Helene.
Lido Key, 4 miles from downtown Sarasota. This is the barrier island, which right now, no one is home.
Fox Weather's Britta Merwin says they're still cleaning up the damage Helene did there.
And what's left behind are these massive debris piles, and it's been out here for over a week. In fact, you can already see the mold that is growing on the cabinets. This is a huge health hazard, but the problem is we could have worst-case scenario 15 feet of storm surge. That would take all of this and throw it back at the houses where it was ripped out of.
The Helene cleanup continues all the way up to flood-devastated North Carolina. More than 230 people were killed in the storm. More still unaccounted for. The Supreme Court is back in session, considering a Second Amendment case this hour focused on guns built from kits or 3D printers.
The Biden administration's 2022 federal rules made changes to the definition of ghost guns to make unfinished parts subject to licensing and serial numbers, which makes it easier to be traced and tracked. The gun rights groups challenging the rule argue the Biden administration went too far in its regulation.
That's Fox's Ryan Schmelz. Another day, another rocket barrage into Israel from Lebanon. Hezbollah's acting leader warns they intend to displace more Israelis from their homes. Israel keeps launching airstrikes in response, taking out rocket launchers and killing another Hezbollah commander. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Some still said no. It's sunny and 54 downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. There was clear bipartisan opposition to a massive 2025 spending plan for the city of Indianapolis, which was approved last night by the City County Council.
This proposed budget prioritizes excess allocations based on aspirations and not on reality.
Councilor Carlos Perkins was one of 3 Democrats on the council to vote against it. The budget calls for $1.6 billion in spending. Indiana Task Force 1 has been reassigned to Florida after spending the last week in the mountains of North Carolina. After Helene, the search and rescue team has duties now to attend to in Florida, where Hurricane Milton is expected to make landfall by tomorrow. 3 men sentenced to federal prison for robbing 8 cell phone stores in central Indiana in late 2021. John Herrick reports.
Police say the robberies happened over a period lasting nearly a month that year. 2 of them would rob the stores, and on the 8th robbery, they had a getaway driver who took one of the men to pick up a rifle. Between the 3 of them, they got a combined total of 65 years in prison. In one of the robberies, officers say a gun was pointed at a toddler as their parents shielded the child with their body, but no one was killed. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Republican candidate for governor Mike Braun wants to lower crime in Indiana if elected this November. He tells WYBC's Hammer and Nigel that it's not just on law enforcement to clean things up, but also local prosecutors.
They're wanting prosecutors to do their job. And in our own state capital, again, Indianapolis, we got somebody that they do their work law enforcement, he does not do his job.
Referring to Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears, whom he believes has been too soft on crime. Michael Andretti addressing his decision to step back from leadership in Andretti Global. He says it's not goodbye, but it's time to pass leadership of the team on to someone else. That someone else is Dan Tauris, who is the CEO of Group 1001. I'm Kirk Darling on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-285-0395. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-285-0395. 800-285-0395. 800-285-0395.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Absolute Comfort, your American Standard air dealer serving Central Indiana.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Elon Musk went on Tucker Carlson, and I am here for it. 93 Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Ethan Hatcher from Saturday Night on the Circle in for Casey today. By the way, wearing his I Hate Rob Kendall t-shirt, which you can see on the YouTube feed. Store.hammerandnigel.com. Store.hammerandnigel.com if you'd like to get yours. And all of my proceeds go to Project Rescue to fight human sex trafficking all across the globe. So you can tell everyone you hate me, and I don't get any money for it. So it's really a win-win.
It all goes to a noble cause.
Right.
What could be better?
Hammer just made me handed off yesterday. In fact, my next round of deposits I'm going to be making to help Project Rescue. So store.hammerandnigel.com if you'd like to get that. So Elon Musk went on Tucker Carlson's podcast yesterday. Now, are you a Tucker Carlson fan?
No,
not at all.
I mean, he makes some entertaining clips from time to time. I am not, let's say, a Nigel level of devotee.
Okay, all right. Now, I've said this numerous times, and I believe Elon Musk has some sort of affliction that makes it when he is
didn't you say you'd heard he had Asperger's?
Well, there was a Rolling Stone interview according online that says, according to Elon Musk, in a 2015 Rolling Stone interview, that he has a mild form of Asperger's syndrome.
I guess I can buy that. It would line up. It makes sense. He's a little awkward in the interviews, which I think we've discussed.
Yeah, obviously he is arguably the greatest marketer entrepreneur in the world. He's clearly brilliant in terms of his level of intelligence. I'm just saying I've always found
he was great at sucking government subsidies during the Obama administration.
Look, the guy knows how to make money, right? and Jerry Lopez, Spanglish, put this yesterday, like, you're expecting Bruce Wayne when you see, Elon Musk is going to be here. And the in-person performance simply isn't that. It in no way takes away from his brilliance or his contributions to society or his ability clearly to make money. I've just always said I don't think his interviews are really what people expect when you say the most brilliant, most richest man in the world is going to be appearing on a television program or speaking.
People like his Twitter feed. People like the stuff that he brings to Twitter. People like the trolling, the memes, the freedom of speech that he has engendered on the website. But yeah, his personal presence, his presentation and manner of speaking.
Yeah, and clearly he has done a lot for free speech in terms of his purchasing of Twitter at great personal and financial risk. I think he's largely mitigated that storm. He's so rich it doesn't even matter, but he deserves a ton of credit for opening up one of the major social media applications in this country back into the category of free speech rather than literally just stymieing or choking off the ability of people to post things if it was going to benefit the wrong political candidate.
Well, think about what a different political landscape even this election would be had he not purchased Twitter, and it still remained the leftist hellscape it was, 4 years ago.
Well, and one of the interesting things about Musk has been, and you don't generally see this, even though sometimes business people will support specific candidates, rarely do they do this to the level or the openness that Elon Musk is supporting Donald Trump. It is very rare to see, because business people care usually about money above all else, or making money above all else, and you'll see it all the time where they'll give to both sides, or they'll very quietly support one side or the other. They don't tend to try to make waves, because the reality is, and you touched on this, they need the government. Oftentimes, these fortunes are made or expanded upon based on government intervention or a government code or a government piece of legislation rigging the system in their favor.
I just wonder how rare it really is, because I'm not sure it is so rare, Rob. For years now, we've seen especially the Silicon Valley types and the tech giants throw a lot of their chips behind the left and major political players in the Democrat Party. What's unusual is that he is being so vocal for a Republican. I think that is the breath of fresh air and the differentiation.
So he was on Tucker yesterday, and I'm going to play you some clips of this because he did say some pretty interesting things. And one of them is he's convinced he's going to get prosecuted if Donald Trump loses.
If she wins, how can they let X continue in its current form, in its current role in American society?
They won't. They will try to shut it down by any means possible.
What do you mean by any means possible?
I mean, with law, either via, they'll try to pass laws. They'll try to prosecute the company, prosecute me. The amount of lawfare that we're seeing taking place is outrageous. There are many examples, but like the Department of Justice, for example, launched a huge lawsuit against SpaceX for failing to hire asylum seekers.
Come on.
Yeah,
asylum seekers?
Not asylum, those who've been granted asylum seekers.
And he goes into a long explanation on that. And it sounds so absurd, Ethan, but this is the federal government under Joe Biden, that if you don't hire asylum seekers, not even like hire whoever you want, hire the best people. Let's hire people who are actually in the country legally. How about we start there?
And this is why people have been so critical of, like, for example, the government's response to the hurricanes, which have battered the coasts of, Florida and North Carolina, because of the way that they have seen the treatment is unequal between the lavish spending that they are willing to throw on migrants, billions of dollars in the case of New York, versus, the penny pinching when it comes to supporting business owners or just supporting regular Americans.
He did talk about his support for Donald Trump and said he's all in.
Yeah.
I can talk without a teleprompter. That's crazy.
But if he loses, it's going to be hard for you to pretend you never supported him.
All in. All in. In the deep end.
Yeah, no, you are definitely in the deep end. You cannot touch bottom.
No, I'm like rolling around. I'm like a pig in mud. I'm like, it's all in, baby.
Is it fun?
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
How hard?
There may be some, in the hopefully unlikely event that he loses, there may be some vengeance on me.
Were you kidding?
It's possible.
It's possible?
Okay, so a couple things. One, while we talked about his social awkwardness, he does seem like a fun guy. He genuinely doesn't take himself all that serious.
He's kind of like a Hugh Grant character. He's the charming, affable misfit.
And the other part of this is, and look, people like Musk, these super rich, eccentric guys, always have more, bigger, more logical goals and ambitions, right? So I wouldn't rule out that in his mind, I could be the world's first trillionaire or something like that. But his risk that he's taking, going all in on Trump, he's the world's richest man, give or take. It depends on the day, but on and off, he's the world's richest man. I think he is right now. He doesn't need to make a political statement. He's dominating the industries he's in. He's wealthy beyond anyone's wildest dreams. If he just keeps his mouth shut and his head down, he literally could become a trillionaire someday. And he's risking everything for no real clear reward for himself by being in on Trump, which tells you he probably genuinely believes what he's saying when he's talking about these things with Trump and the condition of the country if Kamala wins.
So isn't that kind of the attraction to characters like him and like Donald Trump himself? Because both of these individuals, they were already set for life. They had more money than they ever needed. They didn't need the extra headache and the burden of involving themselves with the political debate in America, but saw a great need to do so. And so at great personal risk to themselves, have chosen to be involved.
Yeah, and it's an interesting interview. Obviously, it's a long form. It's Tucker Carlson. You can go see it, do whatever you want after noon. We don't care what you do during Cats, but at least wait until you get to the end of this program. One more clip I did want to play. He said he thinks Kamala is getting support from so many allegedly sketchy people because and high-profile people because he thinks Trump will make the Epstein client list public if he wins.
You know, I think part of why Kamala's getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Yes.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
Yeah. Do you think Reid Hoffman's uncomfortable?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Gates.
And Gates.
Yeah.
And I only ask that because you just look at them and you're like, that's a nervous person right there. I don't know. I mean, I assume you know them. Yeah.
Yes. Reid Hoffman was my vice president of business development at PayPal.
Yeah.
24 years ago.
Does he seem nervous to you?
Yeah, I mean, he's terrified of a Trump victory.
All I got to say is it's pretty bold, given his wealth and Tucker Carlson's wealth, to make the statement they just made.
Yeah.
And name names.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically have accused these guys of being connected to Jeffrey Epstein, and we know what that connection they're implying, what they're implying about that connection, and they're just out there saying it.
They're almost daring these people to launch a defamation suit, and let's see how Discovery goes, fellas.
Yeah,
let's see how that goes.
Right? All right, let's take a break. Ethan's in for Casey. When we come back, it's True Crime Tuesday. Boy, we got a very interesting guest coming up. Christine Falco is going to be with us. She runs a blog on one of the most famous serial killers in American history. He's actually still alive, Ed Kemper, and she's going to be with us to talk about the history of one of America's most fascinating serial killers. It's coming up next. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
Let's now name all the things you would rather do other than move.
Gastro bypass surgery.
And I was just going to go for enema. Same body part, just from different angles.
Takes half as long.
This show is excellent, by the way.
I love it.
You know, we got nominated for a Marconi. Oh. We didn't get nominated this year. I don't see another one in our future.
It's like that Colts won Super Bowl championship. We'll always have that.
I was going to put up a finalist banner.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-525-9369, 800-525-9369, 800-525-9369.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go.
The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Sweet chocolate reward. Sweet chocolate reward.
This is not just the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat at Walgreens. This is the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat right after receiving all their vaccines in one trip. This is the sound of treating yourself, because you protected yourself.
Stop by or schedule both your flu and COVID-19 vaccines today and grab yourself a sweet treat while you're at it. Vaccine subject to availability. State, age, and health-related restrictions may apply.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F-words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all of that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic.
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Finally, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
There is still time to get a patio this fall with Indie Decorative Concrete, the patio experts. No subcontractors ever. Big enough to service, small enough to care.
Kendall and Casey present True Crime Tuesday on 93 WIBC.
Well, Ethan, it is that time. True Crime Tuesday. By the way, 93 WIBC, it's Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Ethan Hatcher in for Casey. If you don't know, every Tuesday, 10:20, we take you behind the scenes on a notorious case that captivated the public's attention. Sometimes it's local, sometimes it's national. And this week, we head all the way to the West Coast, Ethan, to learn about one of the most notorious serial killers in American history, Ed Kemper.
Yeah, I did a lot of learning about Ed Kemper last night in preparation for this segment. For whatever reason, he was a serial killer that hadn't entered into my public consciousness. So I watched interviews with him. I heard the stories. Obviously, this was a very horrific case, and I'm fascinated to learn more insights from our guest today.
Yeah, so Christine Falco joins us today for True Crime Tuesday. She runs the Edmund Kemper Stories blog. Christine, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Great. So first of all, obviously, probably the thing Ed Kemper is most known for is what a large man he actually was, right? I mean, this guy was a giant.
Yes, he was he's still alive, so he's 6'9", yeah, and almost 300 pounds. I think these days he's even bigger because he's been confined to a wheelchair, but he's a huge guy.
Yeah, okay. So a very high level, tell us about Ed Kemper and his murders. He was a university killer.
Co-ed killer.
Yeah, co-ed killer. Tell us very high level about him.
Well, he had 2 phases of murder. His first phase was in 1964 when he killed his grandparents, his paternal grandparents. He had been sent to live there by his parents. His parents had divorced a few years before that, and he had been living with his mother, but he was very unhappy with her because she was a very very domineering woman, and he escaped at some point to go to California to live with his father and his new wife, but his new wife didn't like him at all. She was scared of him, actually, because he would stare at her in very weird ways. He was sexually attracted to her, and at some point they went to the grandparents' house for Christmas, and they left him there, basically. And his grandmother was also a very domineering woman, so he was unhappy there. And his grandfather had given him a gun, so he basically shot both his grandparents at some point. He started killing his grandmother first, and when he realized what he had done, his grandfather was out running errands, and when he came back, He killed his grandfather so that he would not see that he had killed his wife, basically.
Real quick, I just want to introduce you again. Christine Falco is our guest today for True Crime Tuesday. She helps run the Ed Kemper Stories blog. We're learning about Ed Kemper, one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. Christine, go ahead.
Yes, so that was his first phase. He was arrested and he was taken to a psychiatric hospital/prison at Atascadero, and he stayed there until he was 15, and he was released when he was 21 years old, and he was released to the care of his mother. So he went back to the place where he had the problems to begin with, and for the first few years he was okay. You know, he was having jobs and, you know, dating and things like that, and then the urges came back because his relationship with his mother did not improve. It was worse, actually. She was still trying to tell him what to do and how to live his life. So, and she was always telling him, "You'll never date the pretty girls at the university where I work. You're not worthwhile for these women." And sort of as a revenge, he started taking hitchhikers into his car, and he murdered 6 co-eds, basically. And that's why he became known as the co-ed killer, because he had killed 6 young girls, and then he went on to kill his mother and her best friend. So he had 10 victims in total.
Yeah, okay, real quick, and I know Ethan wants to hop in here as well, but let's talk about his life as a serial killer. And we see this many times, whether it's Ted Bundy. People are like, what an attractive, very nice man. You saw John Wayne Gacy. Oh, he employed all of these young boys in the community. The cops and stuff knew Ed Kemper, and they were friends with him.
Yeah. His dream was to become a police officer, actually. And he was told that he was too tall, too big, because he wouldn't fit the police car. That's what he was told, at least. But he had a criminal past also. Maybe that was another issue for police. But when he was committing his second phase of crimes, he did hang out at the Jury Bar, which is the name of a bar in Santa Cruz, where the police officers would hang out and discuss the case. So it was a way for him not only to befriend them, but also to learn what was going on in his case. And it was very obvious that they had no idea that it was Ed that was committing all these crimes. Yeah.
Well, I think a couple of things are really fascinating about this case, and starting with what you had mentioned at the beginning, which is where this all started, which is when he murdered his grandparents as a young man and was actually sent to a psychiatric facility where he began to display this off-the-charts like intelligence. He was apparently extremely intelligent and managed to convince the psychiatrists that they were able to rehabilitate and cure him, which is why he was able to get those murders expunged. And so it's bizarre to think that it could have ended right there, and it should have ended right there, obviously, you know, with the serious murder of his maternal grandparents, only then to convince the psychiatric custodians that they had cured him and then get that expunged. So he was able to blend back into society, which is just fascinating to me.
Yeah, he's a master manipulator. You know, some of the doctors at Atascadero took him under their wing, you know, because they saw that he was very intelligent and that he could do a lot of things. And he was actually one of the inmates that was passing psychological tests to other inmates. So he knew the questions, he knew the answers, the good answers to those questions, in order to make believe to everyone that he had been rehabilitated. So he was very intelligent in the way that he used the information that he got there, not only from the doctors, but also from the inmates. He was 15 years old when he was sent there, and he was the only underage inmate there. All the other ones were adults. They were killers. They were rapists. So he sort of listened to their stories and listened to what were their mistakes that led them to get caught. So he said, if I'm going to be raping women, I'm going to kill them. You know, I'm not going to leave any witness behind. So it sort of formed his mind on how to be like the perfect killer, if I can say.
Christine Falco is our guest. She is one of the operators of the Ed Kemper Stories blog. We'll hear about that here in just a moment. But Christine, one of the things I've heard about Ed Kemper since he has been incarcerated, a lot of people have said, hey, I believe he turned his life over to Christ. They've said he's a model inmate. He's actually a pretty good dude. As weird as that sounds.
Yes, he had a good life in prison after that because I think in one interview he said, if I'm going to be in jail, I'm going to try to live my life as best as possible. So he had many jobs while he worked there. He suffered a heart attack, I think, in late 2015, and now he's confined to a wheelchair, and he had to retire from work because of that. He wasn't able to work as previously as he did before. So yeah, he was very productive citizen in prison, if I can say. And if you read all of his parole hearings throughout the years until 2017, I would say he had a perfect record, actually. And it's only in this year's parole hearing, he had his latest in early July, that we learned that he tried to grab the butt of a nurse that works there. And he had never done anything like that before in all the 50 years that he's been there. And he justified it by saying, well, I'm in prison already, so what are they going to do to me? You know, I'm already here.
It's hard to argue with that, right? I mean,
exactly.
Hey, so I'm very curious. Tell us about your blog, the Edmund Kemper blog that you run, and where people can find it, what's there, and how did you get interested in devoting much of your life to covering Ed Kemper?
Well, I was aware of his case when I was a teenager, and I was very interested in those days by serial killers. At that time, Jeffrey Dahmer had just been arrested, so I was very fascinated by why these people snap and commit these horrific murders. And Kemper's story I connected with because you know, his crimes are very horrific. Anything terrible you can imagine, he's done it and worse. And for a woman, I think it's the scariest thing. You know what? If you come up and meet someone like him, you know, and he kills you and he rapes you once you're dead. You know, he doesn't do that once you're alive. So to me, it was very scary what he was doing. And I was reading a lot about him. And when the series Mindhunter came around, it sort of renewed my interest in his case. And I started reading up again, and I found a lot of information on the internet and a lot of false information. There's a lot of things going on that are not true, you know, that you can read on the internet. So my blog basically it's more like a documentary format to try to get to the truth of what happened in his case. So I base it really on interviews that I read with him, books, documentaries, and also the parole hearings, and also interviews that I've done with a few people that I've been connected to the case one way or another. So it's basically a form of documentary, if I can say.
What is the web address that people would like to read your fabulous blog?
It's EdmundKemperStories.com. It's very simple. And we also have a page on Instagram if ever you can't find the website.
EdmundKemperStories.com. Ethan, I'll give you the last word.
One of the things that you had mentioned that drew you to this story was, and other serial killers, was finding out what makes these people tick, what made them snap. And I'm kind of curious what your insights after learning so much about this man and the horrific crimes that he did, and especially the background with his domineering and abusive mother and the horrific things that she would say to him, including and up to things like, I haven't had sex in the last 7 years because of my murderous son, and then hurling that at him. How much of this it can be attributed to the upbringing, nurture versus nature, and then how much of this is because Ed Kemper was born as a broken person fundamentally?
I think it's somewhere between the two, you know. I think his context, his environment with his parents, his domineering mother, and the fact that his father abandoned him at some point, I think that played a big role. But a lot of people experience the same thing, and they don't go out and commit murders. I think Kemper had developed since childhood, fantasies about violence, about murder, violence against women. And I think it was he's a sadistic murderer. So I think he has pleasure. He had pleasure in committing these crimes, you know, and maybe that's one of the reasons why he can't really explain it, other than because of his parents. It's because he really took a genuine pleasure out of doing that. It fills something, a void in his life, and you know, it's hard to understand for people who don't do that. It's a different value system, but still, I think pleasure was his main reason.
EdmundKemperStories.com, EdmundKemperStories.com. Christine Falco, who runs that blog, thank you for spending a few moments with us today talking about one of the most notorious serial killers in American history.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, 93 WIBC, it's the Kendall and Casey Show.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Buckling down to ride it out. It's 58 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:33. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
Hurricane Milton is still a major hurricane. It is no longer a Category 5, but it potentially could strengthen back to that as it makes its approach to the state of Florida.
The hurricane expected to make landfall sometime late tomorrow southwest of Tampa. Voters in 4 states can begin to cast their ballots today in the November election. With just 4 weeks left before Election Day, early voting is starting in Ohio, New Mexico, Wyoming, and Indiana. For this year's election, 46 states, along with the District of Columbia, are offering early voting options. The Amazon Prime Big Deal Days sale is underway. The online retail giant is offering shoppers thousands of deals through Wednesday on things like laptops, tablets, headphones, toys, and everyday essentials. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Mortgage rates are down and creating more active buyers and sellers. If you've been waiting, now is a great time to sell your home before more homes flood the market, driving down prices. Maximize your home sale price now with the market expert who delivers maximum money in less time, Mark Dietel. Maybe you want guaranteed no-hassle home sale, but don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed-upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Mark from Danville had to say about working with Mark Dietel. I finished building my new perfect home out of state and needed out of my old place quickly. Plus, to cover the cost of the new home, I needed a big price. The Mark Dietel team was my answer. My home sold in 3 days on the market over my asking price. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com. markdietel.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
Hoosiers need a fighter to protect our jobs and our values. I'm Todd Rokita, your Attorney General. I fight for you, and together we win. Suing Biden because he's opened the border to illegals who are killing us, harming our kids, and driving up our taxes. Stopping federal bureaucrats who kill jobs and jack up our electricity prices with their failed Green New Deal that does nothing for our air and water. Keeping criminals behind bars where they belong. Recovering millions of dollars from welfare theft, fraud, and from opioid drug manufacturers, all to protect your health and your tax dollars. Creating the Parents' Bill of Rights so you can protect our kids from those trying to corrupt them while you're at work. Successfully keeping boys from competing in girls' sports and defending, of course, our pro-life values. And the Gun Owners' Bill of Rights so you can defend yourself and your family. I'm Todd Rokita, and with your vote this November, we'll keep fighting and winning together. Paid for by the Todd Rokita Election Committee.
Just when I was getting used to being a single mom to 2 kids, I learned I was about to be laid off. I had no idea how I would make ends meet. Then I heard about the Indiana Emergency Rental Assistance Program, and I applied for help.
This is Diane's story. Indiana renters who are struggling to pay rent can call 211 or visit indianahousingnow.org to apply for rental assistance through this limited time program. We're here for Diane. We're here for renters. We're here for you.
Based on a real story, program funded by the U.S. Department of Treasury.
Are you concerned about rising property taxes? My name is Donald Rainwater, Libertarian candidate for governor. My plan would limit your property taxes to 1% of the purchase price of your property. It would never increase, and it would end once you've paid for 7 years. To learn more about my plan to make Indiana government less taxing, go to rainwaterforindiana.com and watch the televised gubernatorial debates this October. My name is Donald Rainwater, and I approve this message, paid for by Rainwater for Indiana. Chris Whittakin here. Go to AbsoluteComfort.org for a free second opinion so we can keep you absolutely comfortable every day, all day.
Absolute Comfort is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Lousy well water? You just can't find anybody better than the pros at C&J. Great systems and great people, too. Call C&J at 317-852-WELL.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
So a local local politician has pled guilty to a felony, and that means bye-bye to her hold on public office. 93 WIBC, it's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Ethan's in for Casey today. And oh my goodness, breaking news. Look who it is. He's an author. He's a broadcaster. He's the owner and operator of IndiePolitics.org. Abdul-Hakim Shabazz, hello.
Good morning, my friend. How's it going?
Okay, so you had the breaking news. Denise Paul Hatch, the Center Township constable who has been in the news now for erroneous, and I guess no one we can now say felonious behavior, has said, I'm done fighting the system and I'm pleading guilty.
Yay!
Yes, Denise Paul Hatch, the former Center Township constable, because she pled guilty to official misconduct, disorderly conduct, and a plethora of other charges. But in a nutshell, Denise Paul Hatch today, it was supposed to be a bond review hearing, because she was out on bond.
Okay, so real quick. So she was the Center Township constable, which does what?
They serve process and do evictions.
Yeah, it's a totally antiquated, outdated public office. It should be eliminated, but it exists in places like Marion County.
Yes.
And she had faced a litany of charges, and every time she kept getting out on bail, she kept doing something to get herself thrown back into jail.
Judge Nelson, who was the sitting judge, said, is something wrong when I see an elected official here 4 times for basically the same charge in a year?
Yeah, so, I mean, it started as some sort of thing where, she was interfering in a police investigation?
Well, it started with like some broccoli that she apparently shoplifted from the Kroger.
Wasn't she trying to exchange?
They said she was trying to exchange broccoli, and then one of her deputies got in trouble with a car and a gun. I mean, it's like a Gabe Whitley novel. It's just you just can't follow this stuff.
Well, of course. So, I mean, at one point, right, like she wasn't allowed to have a firearm, and then she was seen out in public with the firearm.
Yeah, she went to the Center Township the Fall Creek Government Center where the Center Township Constable is, and the Center Township trustee tried to get into a meeting saying this is a conspiracy, you're all against me.
When she wasn't allowed to, as part of her most recent allowed to be outside of the pokey.
Right. Yeah, she had a GPS monitor on.
Okay, so I think she's pleading guilty to felony.
Yeah, to a felony, and a class 6 felony, which is the lowest level felony, but it's still a felony.
Which then in the state of Indiana means she cannot hold public office.
That's right. No, she can't. She can't hold public office. I'm not sure if you can or can't hold public office. I know she cannot serve in public office once you're convicted.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You get removed. The only way. See, people don't understand in this state, we don't have a recall provision for the most part. The only way most public offices can be removed is conviction of a felony,
yes.
and then you're out ski.
Yes, automatic conviction. The statute makes it very clear. Once you're convicted, you're automatically removed from office.
Okay, so, but she pulled a lot of crap. And now she's not going to serve any. She's not going to serve any additional.
This seems like an unpunishment.
Right? She's basically getting unpunished because she was in jail.
Well, no. What the thing is, if you're convicted of a class 6 felony, you can basically serve 6 months to 2.5 years in jail.
Yeah.
She got credit for time served because she's been basically almost like 6 months behind bars.
Right.
And so in the plea agreement that was reached with the prosecutor's office, like, hey, you've done your time. You're out of the office. You're out of here.
So Ethan's right, though. She was in jail, correct? Because she had violated the terms of her release again. So I mean, she got unjailed by taking the felony.
This seems a little light to me because, of course, she was trying to exchange the rotten fruits. She tried to use her position of authority. She tried to interfere in arrest. She carried a firearm after being told by a judge not to carry a firearm. I'm probably missing a few things. And to that we say 6 months, good enough. See ya, ta-ta.
Well, you're 6 months, but you also got to understand, too, when we look at the criminal justice system and our jail and our prison system and the overcrowding issue, is it better to hold on a second? I know you're a big Law and Order guy, but you can't lock everybody up. The issue is, do we put Denise Paul Hatch in jail and have her there for 2 years, or do we save it for the people we're afraid of, the murderers and criminals and child rapists?
Sure.
And by the way, it was a plea agreement reached with the prosecutor's office, and they must have reached it relatively quickly, and also did a good job of keeping it quiet, because I checked my case like every day to see if there's anything had been filed yet, because my case where you go to check the status of court hearings and files in the whole 9 yards. So at the end of the day, Denise Paul Hatch is no longer Center Township Constable. She's been removed from office. Now the precinct committeemen and Center Township had to get together and in 30 days replace her.
Okay, so is she still Whitley's? Dishonest Gabe Whitley, is she his landlord?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Speaking of dishonest Gabe and status of court hearings, you have a court hearing coming up.
Yes, I have a couple of court hearings coming up with Mr. Whitley. God love the guy. God, man, you can't make this stuff up, folks. We've got a status. He has a status of counsel hearing because he couldn't afford his original lawyer, and so basically he's been charged with putting pictures of my home online and felony intimidation. So he's got to hey, Mr. Whitley, do you have a lawyer yet so we can get this moving? So there's that coming up. I think maybe next week. I think it is.
Okay.
But then also he's got some civil stuff going on because the guy's full of debt collection and garnishments and the whole 9 yards. So that's all between now and then. And also at the end of the month.
This is the big one.
This is the big one. We have my damages hearing when he called me a child rapist and said I was accused of stealing money from the Marion County Fairgrounds. And so we won the defamation suit because the bastard didn't show up. Because if he showed up, he'd have been arrested. So we got that coming up at the end of the month. And I look at it like this. It's like a really bad horror movie that just won't stop. And I think it's ironic that it's happening 3 days before Halloween.
Well, look, you're probably not ever going to get the actual money from him, but you got to go through the process and get the judgment in your favor. Because
and garnish his wages from the Circle K gas station that he works at for the rest of his entire life.
I can't believe that all of these people ended up in the same soup together somehow.
It reminds me of the line from the original Batman Begins. When Commissioner Gordon is talking to Batman, it's like, you know what? We get bulletproof vests, they get armor-piercing bullets. We do this, the criminals do this. You show up, and then we get the Joker with the playing card. I'll check it out. That's what it reminds me of.
All right. Well, anyway, we just wanted to update everybody. I think this is it's kind of an Indianapolis story, but the fact is that these people, Ethan, people like Denise Paul Hatch, are out representing the public. Like, she has some power and authority over in society.
Well, and actually, this does have statewide implications because once again, and the Judge William Nelson said it best. He's like, look, I'm totally disappointed. And he was like talking like your grandfather when your grandfather's mad at you and your grandfather doesn't yell and scream, he just has that very low tone voice. Robert, I'm very disappointed in you right now. You violated the public trust, and to make it worse, you're law enforcement.
Right.
And the fact that I've seen you 4 times in this past year for basically the same charge, I'm very disappointed in you.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we circled back to Denise Paul Hatch, though, because, okay, she's been removed from office, been convicted of a felony, but we may be out of the frying pan and into the fire because you said the precinct committeemen are going to pick a replacement, and I hear one of those choices could be Bob Kern, who is, of course,
speaking of
one of her tenants.
Speaking of Halloween, I mean, you talk about Jason Voorhees just keep coming back again and again and again. Bob Kern apparently says he's going to run for Center Township Constable.
All right, find him at IndyPolitics.org. Abdul-Hakim Shabazz, thank you.
You can't make this stuff up, folks.
Kendall Casey Show. Hammer joins us next.
When is the optimal time to file for Social Security? It's not just about a specific age. This decision could needlessly trigger higher taxes on your benefits and higher taxes on your IRA and 401k withdrawals. You could even double your Medicare premiums. So if you don't consider all of these things, it could literally cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Learn how you could wring every nickel out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Bill Demery, your retirement guy in Indy. We know and trust Bill, and you can too. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 317-932-9912. This is the one tool that could help you get the most income from Social Security, and it won't cost you a dime, even if you're not a client. Call 317-932-9912. That's Bill Demery at 317-932-9912.
Hammer and Nigel Show back at it. 3:06 today. The latest on this massive hurricane, the biggest stories in Indy, and we'll laugh a little bit too.
Christine said, I highly recommend this company. They did my garage floor and I absolutely love it. I'm planning on having them do my patio in the spring. Don't wait. Call them today, 317-751-9070. That's the number for Galaxy Concrete Coating. They can turn any concrete surface into a much better space. Find them online, galaxyconcretecoatings.com, or call them 317-751-9070.
Tire Discounters announces our latest breakthrough, TD Chat BS. This software allows us to detect untruths, deceptions, and even outright lies.
Let's listen in as we call a local car dealer.
Hi, I drive your model of auto or truck.
I need servicing.
Oh, that's great. You should always call the dealer for service to make sure your warranty stays intact.
Untruth.
Excuse me?
I can attend at Tire Discounters for all services,
No,
even
but-
for all manufacturers' scheduled maintenance. Warranty not affected.
But it's only us dealers who really know our own models.
Deception. Tire Discounters technicians are certified experts for all makes and models.
Okay, maybe.
How many dollars do you charge me for? As few as Tire Discounters?
We are not that much more.
Outright lie. Ending call now. Bye.
No, but-
Adios. Aloha. Hasta la pasta.
Right now, save up to $250 on Cooper tires, and Shocks and Struts are buy 3, get 1 free.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros. And a thank you to our loyal customers for making our agency a national sales leader for the 7th straight year. We recently saved a family of 4 over $500 monthly when compared to their ACA plan. You know it's still Obamacare, right? We've recently saved a 61-year-old retiring couple over $600 when compared to their COBRA plan. Breaking news. We are now able to offer health insurance to employer groups of all sizes with 2 of the largest insurers in the Midwest. We'll be here when you need us. Quoting my favorite president, what the heck do you have to lose? We can help. As always, God bless America, or at least what's left of her.
Call Ron or Terry at 317-563-0868. That's 317-563-0868. Or go to rragency.org. That's rragency.org. A health plan managed and chosen by you, not the government.
Hello, friends. It's Rob for Universal Windows Direct. What a deal going on right now at Universal Windows Direct. When you call today, 317-659-7574, 317-659-7574. First of all, for every 2 windows you buy, you're going to get the next 2 free. Buy 2, get 2. Buy 4, get 4. Buy 20, get 20. There is no limit. Oh, and on top of that, when you call Universal Windows Direct today, 317-659-7574, you can get 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years. Now, some restrictions apply. So to get all the information, you got to call Universal Windows Direct today at 317-659-7574. And Universal Windows Direct backs their work up with a true lifetime warranty. What that means is for as long as you own the home and 20 years to the next home owner. You can see Universal Windows Direct on the web at uwd.com, and call today, 317-659-7574. Tell them Rob sent you.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code EASY, or text EASY to 511-511 and claim 40% off. Roundhouseprovisions.com, code EASY.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text EASY to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
It's Terry Stacy, a customer of Premier Deck Coating, and they've changed our life when it comes to saving us time and money, preparing and protecting our deck year after year. Premier Deck Coating is the ultimate deck protection, sister company of Rhino Shield, locally owned. Right now, we've got black walnuts that fall from the trees that normally used to stain the deck, but no more now that we have Premier Deck Coating. It has completely transformed our deck with their special formulated product, and it's backed by a 10-year warranty. They came in, they sanded all the walking surfaces, they repaired the damaged boards, and then they applied their Protect Deck and Railing coating, and that repels mold and moisture, and it resists scratches, and it keeps our deck looking great for years to come. They can also do fences and pergolas, too. And listen to this. Right now, they're able to offer affordable monthly payments with 0% interest loans and no payments until next year to qualified customers. Premier Deck Coating, the ultimate deck protection. We love what they were able to do for us. For a free quote, visit premierdeckcoating.com.
Royal Spa hot tubs are simply better. Come into any of our locations and make the salesperson prove the superiority of the Royal Spa product.
Royal Spa.
Addiction. It's hard on those who struggle with it, but those who love the addict need support too. Matt Baer and Ryan Hedrick provide help and hope with Supporting Sobriety. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on WIPC.com.
Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Ethan's in for Casey today. Kev's here. Jason Hammer, hello.
So with Mr. Hatcher here, Ethan Hatcher, who, again, is rocking the awesome I Hate Rob Kendall t-shirt.
Store.hammerandnigel.com if you'd like to get yours.
Yes.
Very fashionable accessory.
Buy all of your items right there. Store.hammerandnigel.com. And pretty soon we're going to have the Christmas line coming up.
Oh, how exciting.
And Black Friday sale. Mark your calendars. But it wasn't that long ago that... we created a little AI for Ethan Hatcher.
Yeah.
Because I like to dabble in the AI. We've got AI Rob, AI Casey, AI Nige. So we thought, you know what? Let's give Mr. Saturday Night on the Circle the AI treatment here.
Hello, my fellow Hoosiers. It's your lovable, huggable, and sometimes combustible host, Ethan Hatcher. Now, I know what you were thinking. Are you the offspring of Wyatt Earp and the evil magician from Frosty the Snowman? And the answer is yes. If you have never seen me, I look like I just walked out of an 1800s Wild West saloon, and I also wear a top hat that would make Abe Lincoln say, damn, that's a big-ass hat. Despite my solid University of Indianapolis education, I look like the kind of guy that picks up cigarette butts on the ground of your local gas station while begging for change. And if you have never listened to my radio show, get ready for me to crap all over the politicians and beliefs that you like. When you look up pissing off the WIBC audience in the dictionary, there's a picture of me wearing a hat bigger than Kim Kardashian's butt cheeks. I thank you for listening each week to Saturday Night on the Circle. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a certain snowman to go melt. AI Ethan, out!
AI Ethan Hatcher.
Dang, that sounds just like him.
Isn't that scary? It got it so close.
Yeah,
I mean, I
good.
hated to admit how well that captured the vocal range. But yeah, that's hilarious, Jason.
We, Rob, have a podcast coming out today.
We do. It's kind of a sad day in the sports betting world as one of the greatest streaks in the history of sports betting came to a very sad, boring conclusion last night.
Don't cry that it's over. Be happy that it happened.
Yeah, that's right.
Rob Kendall lost a bet last night, which ends a 9-0 run. A generational run. Was perfect last week. Had a perfect night going into last night, but the Chiefs did you in.
I let the internet get the better of me because I was going to take the Chiefs, and then I talked myself out of it. And boy, I'll tell you what. But here's the thing: had that guy not kicked the ball into the restroom in that Bengals game, I would have lost anyway. So I was on borrowed time.
True, water level.
Yeah.
So the college episode comes out today around 1 o'clock this afternoon. I'm on a 11-4 run in college. We've hit 5 out of the last 6 degenerate specials, and we've got some interesting games this weekend.
I'm 17-13 in college. I am 15-10 in the NFL. Degenerates next door, wherever you get your podcasts. And yes, there are some big-ass games going on this weekend.
Ohio State taking on Oregon out in Oregon, so that's in the evening. You've got the Red River Shootout, and yes, that's what it's called. Don't give me this Red River rivalry crap. And we'll talk about that in the podcast today. Texas against Oklahoma and Tennessee, Florida. Used to be a much bigger game than it is now, but yeah, we got a lot of plays and Purdue in action.
And here's the thing, our fade Purdue, baby. I don't care if it's 60 points. I don't care if there's a 60-point underdog. You fade Purdue. Here's the thing. Our show is doing so well, we are starting to have people reach out to us about sponsoring the podcast. We had a great meeting with a startup company yesterday. If you got a business,
yes,
we will promote the hell out of your business.
Or if you want us to do a live version of it, we will come to your city, we will come to your restaurant, your bar, do 30 to 40 minutes of gambling gold and have a good time.
Yeah, we'll drink your beer. We'll eat your food. We will do all the things necessary and we bring a crowd with us. That's the thing. Right. Wherever we go.
Everywhere Hammer and Nigel show has broadcast live, we have rocked that joint.
Yeah, so at Robin Kendall, at Jason Allen Hammer on Twitter. We're now in the business promotion business for the Degenerates Next Door Sports Betting Podcast.
Right. This afternoon, we're excited because our pal Jeff Boggs is coming in studio, not Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, I love that guy.
we've got a new Hammer and Nigel Records song that he wrote.
Oh, no.
He produced a Hammer and Nigel Records song, and we'll have that this afternoon.
All right, that's the Hammer and Nigel show today, coming up 3 o'clock. In the meantime, when we come back, Trump is now a heavy favorite in the betting market. What do we make of that? It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock is here to elevate your protection game. Using the same simple password across all your accounts, that's risky. While updating your passwords to be more unique is a good start, true peace of mind comes with LifeLock. LifeLock doesn't just alert you to suspicious activity, but monitors for more uses of your personal info and will fix identity theft issues that arise, guaranteed, or your money back. Secure your identity today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
Hey guys, it's Rob from my friends and family at Life Church. You know, we love Life Church. They've had such an incredible impact on my life, on my wife's life, on my daughter's life. And one of the many things we love about Life Church is how many people we meet there who are WIBC listeners. Yeah, over the years, many WIBC listeners have found a home at Life Church. And while there's many reasons for that, I think a big one is how warm and welcoming they are. They treat you like so much more than just a number. You're an individual. If you've been feeling called to something different, it could be a new church home or a first church home, check out Life Church. They got campuses all across central Indiana, Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton. Amazing online services. Learn more about everything at lifechurchin.com.
18 years ago, Tom and Sarah Joyner started Joyner Homes in Greenfield, and to date, they've built hundreds of homes across central Indiana. The homes they build are different than the cookie-cutter houses you see today. They build homes that have the character like the homes of yesterday, but have modern features, character-rich features, exposed wood beams, stone fireplaces, custom build-ins, and smart design. Building a new home doesn't have to be a headache. Joyner Homes will build you a truly unique, beautiful home. Visit joinerhomes.com.
Go now to bwindow.com and receive $400 off per window and $250 off any patio or entry door, plus 2.99% financing.
Coming up in 2 minutes, a budget was passed for the city last night, but not all are pleased with it. Plus, Harrison Silcox reports on what your senator is saying about crime. And will the Colts coach try to win with Flacco or Richardson? I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recyclers Studios. You're listening to 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
Hurricane Milton still going strong. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Still a Category 4 in the new update, with max winds rising back up to 150 miles an hour. Many people along Florida's west coast are boarding up, packing up, fueling up. A lot of evacuations.
You do not have to get on the interstate and drive hundreds of miles. There are shelters open.
Governor Ron DeSantis worried about what Milton will bring.
10 to 15 feet peak storm surge is forecast.
Fox Weather's Mike Seidel's in Madeira Beach, which was inundated by Hurricane Helene storm surge less than 2 weeks ago.
Debris everywhere and nowhere for it to go but to float or be blown around as Milton makes landfall later tomorrow night here on the Pinellas County coast, or maybe a little south of here down towards Manatee or Sarasota County.
President Biden's canceled a trip overseas this week to Germany and Angola to focus on hurricane response. He will travel today to Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, two states considered battlegrounds that could decide the election.
The new Fox Power rankings show Vice President Kamala Harris with an overall lead and 241 likely electoral college votes in her favor. Former President Trump has 219 electoral votes in the power rankings. 78 electoral votes are in the toss-up category.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. The other four states considered up for grabs for Trump and Harris: Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, and North Carolina. Israel's come under fire again with another big Hezbollah rocket barrage, the biggest one yet to hit Haifa near Lebanon. Fox's Nate Foy reports from Tel Aviv.
The deputy chief, Naim Qassem, who of course is one of the few remaining leadership figures in Hezbollah, says the group maintains its capabilities despite suffering a series of painful blows at the hands of Israel, assassinating many of its leaders over the past 3 weeks.
Israel has responded with airstrikes, taking out rocket launchers, killing yet another Hezbollah commander. An NFL team has just punted their head coach. The New York Jets fired Robert Saleh after a 2-3 start to the season. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Why he voted no. It's 60 degrees and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02, brought to you by Moss Roofing. City leaders in Indianapolis approved a proposed spending plan for 2025 from Mayor Hogsett last night, but it faced more bipartisan opposition than other plans from recent years. Democrat Councilor Jesse Brown voted no, saying city workers need bigger raises.
Right now, there are full-time employees of the city of Indianapolis with a decade of tenure who are making poverty wages.
Others said that there's not enough investment in fixing roads, sidewalks, and bridges. Duke Energy and AES Indiana are both sending workers to Florida to be ready to help restore power as Hurricane Milton bears down on the state from the Gulf Coast. Indiana Task Force 1 also now heading back to Florida as well. Milton is still a Category 4 hurricane at the moment. If you think crime is a problem in Indiana, one of your candidates for governor believes he has a solution. Harrison Silcox.
Indiana Senator Mike Braun doesn't think the problem has as much to do with law enforcement as it does with local prosecutors.
But if the prosecutors don't do their job in any of these jurisdictions, and the one that's worst is right there in our state capital, something's got to give.
The Republican referring to Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears while talking with WIBC's Hammer Nigel. Braun believes stricter punishments for criminals would go a long way in lowering crime rates, especially in Indianapolis. Harrison Silcox, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Center Township Constable Denise Hatch is no longer a constable. Indy Politics reporting that she has pled guilty to the firearms charges that she faces as part of her misconduct trial. That makes her guilty of a felony, so she has been automatically removed from office. Colts head coach Shane Steichen keeping things vague on if he plans to try and win with Joe Flacco or win while developing Anthony Richardson at quarterback.
We're trying to win football games. That's the bottom line. We're trying to win football games. And when Anthony's out there, obviously he makes a lot of big plays for us. And that's where it's at.
The Colts preparing for the Titans this Sunday. I'm Kirk Darling on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
It's starting to be fall in Indiana, the perfect time to tackle home projects you've been putting off before winter arrives. With Moss Roofing by your side, you don't have to do it alone. They're ready to assist with your roofing and siding needs, ensuring your home is safe and ready for the holidays. Let Moss Roofing, M-O-S-S, mossroofing.com, give your home a serious glow-up with premium James Hardy siding, tough enough to face Indiana's wild weather and stylish enough to turn heads on your block. And the best part, their free inspections come with a 3D design preview so you can see your home's stunning makeover before the work begins. Contact Moss Roofing for a job done right every single time at Moss Roofing, M-O-S-S, mossroofing.com, or call 317-747-3665. Moss Roofing, 317-747-3665. That's 747-3665. Or online at Moss, M-O-S-S, mossroofing.com. And don't forget, tell them Tony Katz sent you.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Absolute Comfort, your American Standard air dealer serving Central Indiana.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Donald Trump is the favorite, the heavy favorite now, to win the presidency in the betting market.
Oh, that's good news.
What do we make of that? Let's try to figure it out. 93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Ethan Hatcher from Saturday Night on the Circle, in for Casey. All right, so you're now a fellow degenerate with me and Hammer. We got you started on the sports betting.
Yes.
And it looks like on this court ruling that's come out, pending whatever the Supreme Court decides to do, we may on a very large scale end up being able to bet in elections in this country.
Well, betting on elections has already existed. It just exists in other places besides here.
That's correct. So Polymarket is a website that tracks odds based on money that's coming in.
Yes.
It's basically like a sports betting website, but it tracks betting on politics instead of betting on sports, which, as Ethan stated, is legal. You can bet on American elections in other countries. And now you can kind of bet on it in this country, although it's still kind of gray. Ultimately, the Supreme Court's going to have to decide. But as of right now, that's beginning to become a thing. And according to Polymarket, Donald Trump, as of yesterday, had his largest lead in the election forecast at 54% up 3.6% from the other day. Kamala Harris now coming in at 45.4%, down 3.3% from the other day. He's now a heavy favorite to win the presidency, according to the money.
Well, I say this is good news because usually those sources are totally unbiased. I mean, in the betting world, if they think they can turn a nickel, they bet against their mother. So the idea that they are highlighting Trump as the heavy favorite tells me he must be doing fairly well.
Well,
they tend to be right. Like in these other countries where you can bet on elections, historically, they have been accurate predictors.
Yeah, we had this conversation yesterday. As I said last segment, Hammer and I met with a startup company that's interested in sponsoring our Degenerates Next Door sports betting podcast, and we were talking with these guys about this, about tracking money in sports betting. And in sports betting, it's what's called the sharps. They come in at the end. It's the whales, the guys that bet huge amounts of money, and they'll move lines. And you generally, if you think it's going to move in your direction, you wait for the sharp money to come in, and then you kind of see where the guys who do this for a living know where they think the game is going to go. This is sort of the thing here right now. Now, again, it's also going to be people in their basement who have no idea what's going on. It does tend to be somewhat reactionary, and Trump had that huge rally in Butler over the weekend that went astonishingly well, so that may be factoring into it. But it is crazy as much crap has been thrown at Donald Trump and as many mistakes as he's made and all the stuff he's been through the past 4 years that the money believes Donald Trump is going to win the presidency.
Well, it just shows you what a flawed candidate that the Democrats have saddled themselves with in Kamala Harris, the most unpopular up to this point vice president in American history, now the affirmed nominee for the Democrat Party.
Now, Pennsylvania is going to be the grand prize in this election. And in Pennsylvania, Donald Trump, again, this is based on money. This is not polling, but this is just money, is at 56% to Kamala Harris's 44%. But what is interesting is on this, now the early voting is started in Pennsylvania, and they're starting to track these absentee ballots that are coming back in. And this is a major issue the Republicans ran into in both 2020 and 2022, which is the Democrat starts with such an enormous lead in Pennsylvania because of the early mail-in voting. And something like 73% of the ballots that were being turned in, now you don't know who people ultimately voted for, were of registered Democrats compared to 19% of registered Republicans. And so you say it's interesting that the money is doing this, given how Pennsylvania's sort of the early voting trend is continuing along the line that we have seen before.
I think Republicans will do much better in the early voting this time around. Donald Trump hobbled himself to a certain extent in the last election when he insisted his voters go out on election day, don't turn in a mail-in ballot, show up that morning, vote twice, in fact. And it didn't work out so well. Now Republicans understand the forces that they are up against, and I have noted a much more concerted ground game effort to get people out, get them to vote any way as possible. Any vote counts. Look,
right.
If you want to mail in the ballot early, that's fantastic. Vote for Trump. And Republicans have taken advantage of that. I don't think it's going to be the same landslide that it was in 2020.
Well, yeah, and the number is believed to be somewhere around, I saw some people posting about this yesterday, that if the Democrats start in Pennsylvania now, again, a presidential election, and especially one with Trump because he's such a wild card on who he's going to turn out and how they're going to vote, it's believed if they start with a 350,000 vote lead, then it's going to be hard for the Republicans to get them on election day. But if it's anything less than 350,000, certainly anything less than 300,000, you're feeling like we got a ball game here if you're the Republicans.
The other thing about Pennsylvania, and I've heard this from friends who live there, I've heard this from YouTube content.
You spend a lot of time there.
I spend a lot of time in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is outside of the big cities like Pittsburgh and Harrisburg, is basically like little Texas.
Yeah.
You get into the rural parts of the Pennsylvania. You talk with the farmers, and they are totally in line with Donald Trump, and especially post Butler, Pennsylvania. Even John Fetterman, the senator, is admitting what a draw Donald Trump has for that community and being part of the Rust Belt, promising a return to American manufacturing, and all these things align, I feel, in Trump's favor. We don't want to take that for granted. Get out the vote, but it's looking good.
Well, it's interesting you say that because Charlie Kirk had this post yesterday, and there's a new data survey out that claims only 51% of people of faith plan to vote in November. And Charlie Kirk, now again, this is Charlie Kirk, but he's trying to say that this means essentially between born-again Christians and mainline Christians, that's like 70-some million people who are not going to cast a ballot. And if this is accurate, sometimes people just don't vote no matter who the candidate is. But it does lend some credence to, with the Republicans running away from life. And look, you've seen Melania Trump come out and be totally on abortion. You've seen Vance and Trump go, "Oh no, we would never push for a national curtail of abortion." You do wonder if, in an effort to attract new or moderate or whatever people to your tent, if you're just swapping votes by alienating people who should be 100% voting for you, no questions asked.
If millions of evangelical Christians are willing to thumb their nose at Donald Trump because of moderate views on abortion access, that will be monumentally stupid to do to the person who helped deliver the overturning of Roe versus Wade. And without Donald Trump making those very important appointments to the Supreme Court and going to bat on that issue, we might not have had that ruling come out of the Supreme Court. He was instrumental in achieving the aspirations of millions of evangelicals across the land, and they're going to not vote for Donald Trump so that way they can, ensconce on-demand abortion advocate Kamala Harris into office? Smart plan, guys. Smart plan.
Yeah, it is interesting. And one of the things that I've told some people in the pro-life movement is, because let's face it, it has not gone well, especially in places with ballot referendums. Now, a place like Indiana where the General Assembly made the call, you elect the people, they speak on your behalf. Hey, we have an ironclad. Look, nobody's more critical of the Republicans than me. Indiana has a very good pro-life piece of legislation. It's about as good as it's going to get, given the, realities of society in which we live in, and it's pretty good. But the life movement got caught flat-footed, I think, with the Roe ruling, and we're not prepared. Okay, now we got to go win at the ballot box. They spent so much time trying to get the thing overturned and win elections to get judges in, et cetera, that they got caught flat-footed, not realizing, all these states have these ballot referendums, and you better be prepared to play defense or offense to get your thing. And now it's almost like they're angry. It's like signing a great player, and then he doesn't perform, and then you're mad at the team that signed the great player. Well, he was great everywhere else. Yeah, you should have known. I mean,
They're the dog that caught the car, Rob.
Right,
they caught it, and now they don't know what to do with it.
Okay, so real quick, before we go to a break, I saw this piece of audio yesterday. So Peter Doocy is a reporter for Fox News. His dad is he's a weatherman. Now he's a host on Fox News. Peter Doocy is the one guy that week in and week out goes into the lion's den in terms of dealing with the Biden administration.
He's
usually
been phenomenal.
Karine Jean-Pierre, and yes, you're right. He will hold their feet to the fire. So he had a back and forth yesterday with Karine Jean-Pierre that made her so mad that she packed up her book and walked out, and she was getting so angry at him. He's pressing her on how Biden declared automatic money for Lebanon, well over $100 million to go to Lebanon, a country that doesn't even like us. And yet they're claiming we've got to come back to Congress. Congress has got to come back to appropriate money for the people in North Carolina. And this back and forth is a little longer than the audio we normally play, but it is great at how mad he made Karine Jean-Pierre.
President Biden is fond of saying, show me your budget and I will tell you what you value. If he's got money for people in Lebanon right now without Congress having to come back, what does it say about his values? There's not enough money right now for people in North Carolina who need it. That's not misinformation.
Wait, no, that is your whole premise of the question is misinformation, sir. What you do? Yes, it's misinformation.
Is there money to send to Lebanon right now?
I just mentioned to you that we provided more than $200 million to folks who are impacted in the area, and I just shared with you that people are deciding not to. People are deciding not to.
Wait. To Congress that there's not enough money to help people in North Carolina.
We're talking about the SBA disaster loan.
That's money for people in North Carolina.
And that's important, and people in North Carolina need that. Wait, this is nothing new. Peter, this is nothing new. Congress comes together, they provide money, millions of dollars, for disaster relief. We're asking them to do the job that they have been doing for some time.
From a letter that President Biden sent to Johnson, McConnell, Schumer, and Jeffries. The president's letter is not misinformation. Would you agree?
No, the way you're asking me the question is misinformation. There is money that we are allocating to the impacted areas, and there's money there to help people who truly need it. There are survivors who need the funding, and it's there.
That you don't like misinformation.
I said
That's
that.
very-
I actually said we have the money available to help survivors of Hurricane Helene and also Hurricane Milton. Now, there's going to be a shortfall, right? Because we don't know how bad Hurricane Milton is going to be. And so we're going to need additional funding. That's
exactly what I just asked about. And you said it was misinformation.
What you're asking me is why Congress needs to come back and do their job. That's what you're asking me. Congress needs to come back and do their job and provide extra assistance, extra funding to disaster relief fund. That's what Congress needs to do, and we're going to continue to urge that. You may not want that, but that's okay. That's what this president wants, and that's what the vice president wants. Thanks, everybody.
This a little longer than audio we normally play, but I just love how mad he was making her by asking a very straightforward question.
See, I figured out a solution to this problem, Rob.
How exciting.
We live in a world, you see, where men can identify as women and participate in women's sports. So, therefore, the states of North Carolina and Florida should identify as Ukraine and Israel, so that way they get all the funding they need.
All right. Speaking of North Carolina, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to have a very interesting guest, Stan Lovins. He's an evangelist. We've had Stan on the show before. Stan lives in Tennessee, and he has spent many, many years preaching in the specific areas that were destroyed in North Carolina and other parts of the country by Helene. And he has a lot of contacts in those areas. He's in touch with many of those people that have been impacted by Helene. And so we're going to try to get a clearer picture from somebody talking to the people impacted in those areas about exactly what's going on, how bad it is, what is the government doing, what are they not doing. It's a very interesting conversation. We'll try to give you a better picture of what's happening in the impact of this hurricane. 93 WIBC, Kendall Casey Show.
Tony Katz.
You're not married, right? No. After a certain time being married, you realize that sleeping in separate beds, a genius idea.
Well, that's just not very romantic at all.
Oh, we're not talking about romance. We're talking about rest. And if you want something that's not romantic, be in a relationship where nobody's getting any rest. By the way, my wife and I do not have separate beds. She can't get enough of me.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Wealth-changing question. Has your advisor created a portfolio based only on your age and risk tolerance? That's simply not good enough. Your money deserves better, and so do you. At Creative Planning, our private wealth managers learn about you first, and then they create a customized plan and portfolio by partnering with our in-house money managers, accountants, and attorneys. Don't settle for a standard portfolio. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9379. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9379. That's 800-575-9379. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Trees swaying in the summer breeze, showing off.
So what exactly is going on in North Carolina? What's the truth? Let's talk to a guy who's been in communication with quite a few people who are experiencing travesty. 93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Ethan Hatcher's in for Casey. Let's go to the WIBC hotline. We're joined by Stan Lovins. He's with Victory Fire Ministries. He has spent a lot of time over the years preaching in those exact areas that were devastated by Hurricane Helene. He's been in contact with many of the people who are trying to put their lives together after the hurricane passed through. Stan joins us now. Stan, how's it going?
Well, Rob, I appreciate you having me on the show today, and always appreciate your program here on WIBC.
Yeah, so obviously you've spent a great deal of time over the years. You live in Tennessee. You've spent a lot of time preaching in those exact areas that were devastated by Hurricane Helene, and you have a lot of friends there who have been impacted. There's just so much uncertainty going on right now. You're talking to people on the ground. What are you hearing about what's going on there in western North Carolina?
Well, there's escalation of death toll is much higher than what is actually being reported by the media. We were just in Swannanoa back in July. That KOA was completely wiped out. And also right here in Asheville, a dear friend of mine was Randy Shepard. And Randy Shepard has Crossfire Ministries. It's basketball. Randy Shepard played with Michael Jordan himself in high school. And they reach out to kids utilizing basketball. And so we were a part of that. That whole area of Asheville has just totally been annihilated. There are literally thousands upon thousands of lives that are unaccountable for. They've just north of there in Ferguson, North Carolina, there's my cousin actually has a ministry there and Hope for his children. And a friend of his is a pastor who was given 600 body bags. Oh. And they went through 600 body bags in one little town. I mean, one little literally mountain town went through 600 body bags in a day. And so they needed many, many more body bags. So there's a lot of devastation that's happened that's not being reported. We see the devastation through social media primarily, through the videos of horrific scenes. Yet many Americans have stepped up. Supplies are being sent. Things are being distributed as best they can, but they're getting pushback from some corrupt local authorities as well as different FEMA members.
Okay, let's talk about that. Stan Lovins is our guest. He's with Victory Fire Ministries. He spent many, many years preaching in the areas that were impacted by Hurricane Helene. He's in contact with people on the ground there. I think this is the thing that's frustrating, Stan, and maybe you can go into detail with some of the people you've talked to, that it appears the governments, sometimes it's you don't even know which governments it is, depending on where the area is, but it seems like governments are impeding the ability of citizens who are wanting to come in, step up, and help these people out.
Well, as you know, there's those in government that are not for we the people. They're not for the people on ground zero. Matter of fact, they wouldn't have been sending $176 million over to another country that has sown nothing into our nation, but wants nothing but devastation for our nation. That's Lebanon. And yet they say they have no money in FEMA for we the people and these precious mountain people that have worked livelihoods and long decades to build their farms and build communities and have safe havens for their families. And yet they're totally being destroyed right now and being restricted in many areas from the governances, including FEMA. There was just a video. Now, I did not know this person, but there was a video, actually several videos of the same occasion that happened, or the incident that happened on the mountain. They had a bunch of supplies out in an open parking lot, had a unmarked helicopter that came down and literally, through the downforce of the wind, forced and blew all the tents, the supplies, just annihilated and shot that stuff out through the air everywhere. That's the type of destruction. They're not allowing people to be healed, to be restored. They're not in it to rebuild because I believe there's another initiative. There's another agenda to get these people off that mountain so they can take over all the mineral rights and everything else on those mountains.
Stan, let me lay this out to people, because some people may not be aware, and I spent many, many years driving through these exact areas when I owned my radio station near Wilmington, that when we talk about how rural these places are, these are the sort of places, not like here in central Indiana, right? Even the most rural areas that remain in central Indiana, you have no concept of what this is like. Like, this is the place that if you get off an exit and you see a sign for a gas station, it might be 5 miles in either direction to that gas station. You'll go 10, 15, 20, 30 miles at a time without seeing a gas station. Like, the people and the resources to begin with, even pre-hurricane, are super displaced.
Well, you're 100% right. And you know, your firsthand experience, you've seen these locations. There are little towns all throughout that area. And, you know, just you got Newland, Cranberry, North Carolina, Spear, Frank, Elk River, are just a few. I mean, there's Rowan Mountain right there in Tennessee as well. There's Buck Mountain in North Carolina and Tennessee. A lot of these people have never heard of. However, these are legitimate little towns that may have several hundred people there. A few may have 1,000 people there, but there are smaller communities that have just been totally annihilated and washed away. And it's not just in North Carolina. It's in eastern Tennessee. It's in West Virginia. It's in Georgia and Asheville, obviously North Carolina. And then we're hearing a lot about that, but just south of there in Greenville, they had a lot of damage in Greenville, South Carolina. There's so much devastation that it's deplenishing a lot of resources that are being sent there. The situation is right now, there are resources being sent to a lot of these bigger locations like Asheville and whatnot, which is great. That's awesome. But now in a disaster situation, and I've done a lot of disaster relief, even with Hurricane Harvey down in Houston. We took a team down there. Also in Haiti after the earthquake there. We were there 3.5 weeks after the earthquake hit. Also in Moore, Oklahoma, and then right here in Indiana, in Henryville, Indiana, there was a lot of devastation. So we went down and worked with the Little League and rebuilt and painted and cleaned up all those field debris and had a free baseball clinic for all those kids. And it was amazing because what the love of Jesus Christ will do in these communities to bring transformation. We had over 201 kids give their heart to Jesus down there. The whole heart of all of this is to reach these communities and help them with the love of Jesus Christ. There were storms well before the storms.
Stan, we got about a minute and a half left here. Stan Lovitz is our guest. He's with Victory Fire Ministries. He's spent many, many years preaching in these areas that were impacted by Hurricane Helene. He's been in contact with these people on the ground. We're trying to get an idea of what's actually going on. What can people do? I mean, you hear about, you know, obviously we talked about resources that are having trouble getting in, the lack of response from the federal government, you know, where are these people at? How many people have perished? Like, what can people do right now to try to help?
Well, there's a lot of mobilization within the church community through those mountains. There's great organizations that are there doing. Samaritan's Purse is a great one. Convoy of Hope is another one. But like us with Victory Fire, we're working with churches in Ground Zero. Right here in Newport, we're working with Feed My Sheep Ministries, which are feeding all the homeless. They've been doing that for years. Now they're feeding all the community as well. So there's 5 different locations. In Greenville, South Carolina, we're working with them. Up in Wilkesboro County with Anchor's Ridge. And so also with in Ferguson. So we're going to be blitzing these communities. They can go to our website as well. One of the things that they can do is always contribute financially so we can get it to Ground Zero, get it to these people that are really in need, these people that are hurting, that have lost everything, and $750 is not going to get the job done.
Well, what would you even do? This is the question we've asked, Stan, real quick. What would you even do with the money if someone handed you $750 right now? There's no stores.
There's no stores. There's only giveaways for food, supplies, those things. I think it's vital that people understand this. You know, people are going to need propane grills. They're going to need accessories that they can use right now, tents, because right now in the mountains it's chilled. It's getting down to freezing. And so these people that have just been through devastation, they have no covering. They need supplies. They need tents. They need propane heaters. They need all kinds of different accommodations that will shift on a weekly basis.
Stan Lovitz, you can find him on the web, victoryfire.org. If you'd like to learn more about what he's doing, victoryfire.org. Thank you, man, for spending a few moments talking about the people that are being impacted there in North Carolina and Tennessee and West Virginia. I know you've been in contact with those people for many, many years, relationships with them for many, many years, and you're getting some stories that we aren't, so thanks for sharing a few of those with us.
What's a blessing, and most importantly, Rob, it's getting the love of Jesus Christ into the heart and soul of everyday people that are hurting, that are broken, that need His compassion and tenderness to help them overcome.
Yeah, it's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Getting closer. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Hurricane Milton remains a Category 4 storm this morning as it heads towards the west coast of Florida. The latest update from the National Hurricane Center puts maximum sustained winds at 145 miles an hour. The storm expected to make landfall southwest of Tampa tomorrow night. Hezbollah responding to Israel's operation, taking out many of its leaders.
Deputy Chief Naim Qassem, who of course is one of the few remaining leadership figures in Hezbollah, says the group maintains its capabilities despite suffering a series of painful blows at the hands of Israel, assassinating many of its leaders over the past 3 weeks. And we're seeing that reflected in Hezbollah's actions this morning, launching their single biggest rocket attack on the northern Israel city of Haifa that we've seen so far in this war.
Fox's Nate Foy. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hey guys, it's Rob for We Grow Hair Indie. And man, it is hard to believe it's been almost 4 years since I made the choice to go to We Grow Hair Indie, and I still love the results when I look in the mirror. So let's walk you through how this process works. Call today, 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995, and schedule your totally free, no hassle, no obligation consultation. So what you do is you go in there, Darren and the gang, top-notch guys, they're going to take a look at what's going on with your head, and they're going to make some recommendations on how they might be able to make it better. Then you make the choice. It's as simple as that. Oh, and in the meantime, when you're deciding what to do, head over to WeGrowHairIndie.com. WeGrowHairIndie.com. You can see some other folks who made the choice to get their confidence back with We Grow Hair Indie. Call today. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. 317-522-2995. We Grow Hair Indie. Tell them Rob sent you.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Remember back in 2020 when prices weren't so out of control? We miss those days too, so for a limited time, we're having a Turn Back the Time sale. Now through Monday, October 14th, we're turning the sale prices back to pre-pandemic levels and still delivering for free within 75 miles. All Lazy Boy, mattresses, everything in the store, now through Monday only at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Sweet chocolate reward. Sweet chocolate reward.
This is not just the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat at Walgreens. This is the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat right after receiving all their vaccines in one trip. This is the sound of treating yourself, because you protected yourself.
Stop by or schedule both your flu and COVID-19 vaccines today and grab yourself a sweet treat while you're at it. Vaccine subject to availability. State, age, and health-related restrictions may apply.
Is your pet a digging enthusiast, an escape artist, or a counter surfer? Invisible Fence brand has you covered. For the wannabe landscaper, we've got a solution to keep them active but not destructive. For the escape artist, our personalized pet fences keep them safe and sound at home. Counter surfer? No problem. We know how to keep cheese thieves at bay. Invisible Fence brand. Tailor-made solutions for your pet, your yard, and your needs. Visit invisiblefence.com today.
Go now to bwindow.com and receive $400 off per window and $250 off any patio or entry door, plus 2.99% financing.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9379. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9379. That's 800-575-9379. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
You need better water, really. Why don't you call C&J Water today for a free water analysis and see why you need better water? When you do, you'll get a 10% discount on all C&J Water products to improve your water quality today. For better skin and hair, you don't need a different shampoo, detergent, or lotion. You need better water. Now's a great time to upgrade. Call C&J Water for great systems and great people too. 317-733-SOFT. That's 317-733-SOFT.
My brother never checks on Dad. Or, my sister won't make time to take Mom to the doctor. Are these things you've heard yourself say? This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joy's House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. I have a caregiving tip for you. Stay tuned.
Cardon and Associates offers the finest senior living options tailored to your loved one's needs. Reservations are now being accepted for new apartments at Copper Trace in Westfield. Visit cardon.com.
Expressing anger or resentment toward unsupportive siblings can cause unmendable rifts in relationships. Don't try to control everyone else. You can only control yourself. The success of your caregiving journey does not rest on others. So enjoy the time with your loved one. This is your special time with them. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access a library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
This is Chris Wedigan with Absolute Comfort. Go to absolutecomfort.org to find out how dual fuel systems can keep you absolutely comfortable all day, every day.
Absolute Comfort is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Early voting in Indiana starts today. I know many people are contacting me saying they're out and about getting it done. So let's take a look at where we're at with the political landscape in the Hoosier State this fall. 93 WIBC. It's Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob Kevs here. Casey's out today. Ethan Hatcher from Saturday night on the Circle in for Casey. So I think there's one race that's mildly interesting, and that's the race for governor. At least it relates to the statewide. Everything else is a snoozer. Am I wrong?
I think that's pretty accurate, although I'm not sure that the race for governor is overly exciting.
Well, it's the only one that you would say, and that's because Rainwater's in the soup with everything. How many votes is Rainwater going to get that if Rainwater, who is a good libertarian candidate, certainly compared to many other libertarian candidates, probably an A+ by that standard, otherwise would probably go to Braun, how many are going to end up going to Rainwater, and how much does that bring McCormick back into the game?
I think you also have to enter into the mix, what will the voter turnout be? Because what demographic and how many of them show up could make a huge impact on the overall outcome of the election, because Indiana, as far as I know, has among the lowest, if not the lowest, voter turnout in the entirety of the 50 United States.
Yeah, and they've made a huge deal. The Democratic Governors Association, DGA, or whatever they're called, are a national group, and their job is to get Democrats elected governor. They gave $600,000 to Jennifer McCormick recently, and of course there's this euphoric thing from the media about, oh my gosh, the race is in play, and you look
for
at
$600,000.
Yeah, well, right. I mean, come on. Look, she has no money. The $600,000, most of it likely coming because that knucklehead in North Carolina, the Republican there, Robinson, totally flamed out, and so they had money to burn, and they said, look, we can't get embarrassed again in Indiana. Let's try to give her being Jennifer McCormick, some money to at least be moderately competitive. But you're right, Ethan. In a state of 7 million people, $600,000 is doing nothing.
Well, and Jennifer McCormick is also failing to capitalize on any level of momentum to try and shift the movement of the election. So, I am quite confident that Mike Braun will walk away victorious.
Well, and you're an interesting guy to have this conversation with because you're a Rainwater supporter. You were in 2020.
Vote Rainwater.
You stayed there. And so I think you kind of give a more fair analysis of where the two major parties are at. What I do find interesting, and we talked about this quite a bit, is the misreading of the tea leaves by the Democrats thinking in Indiana that abortion is some silver bullet that they are going to I mean, I told you I was watching college football on Friday night on Fox. So we're talking network television. We're not talking about a cheap ad. And you're talking about a male-dominated audience. And Jennifer McCormick is running an ad. She's using valuable resources. And right out of the gate, the first thing she's talking about that she will do is repeal the abortion ban. And I'm watching this going, take away my totally, pro-life position. I'm watching this going, you're running an expensive ad on network television in an audience that is men. And right out of the gate, you're talking about something that polling overwhelmingly shows men have no interest in whatsoever and totally doesn't move the needle. What a waste of resources.
This is a calculated move that I agree, ultimately, I don't think will pay off. But Jennifer McCormick is looking at these ballot initiatives and outcomes in states like our own neighboring state of Ohio, which, when put to a vote, elected to have at least some access to abortion care in the state. But she has failed to capitalize on that opportunity, and I think, especially because she won't put a number on it. And I think most Hoosiers are very turned off to the idea of on-demand, unlimited, unfettered access to abortion. And so, even in the slim, narrow inroad that she might have to pick up a few points here or there, she's failing to capitalize on it by failing to be specific.
Yeah, and this is a great point. It goes back to that article James Briggs wrote in Indy Star a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was now, about the little spat between me and Indiana Beto, Destiny Wells. And what he said is, and it's right, which is, even if society isn't as, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm shortening a long piece, but he basically said, even if society isn't as pro-life as Rob is, by you, the Democrat, refusing to say what the number is on abortion, you're allowing Rob to win, because society will default to the Rob's position of life rather than your undefined position on abortion, because it automatically does go to the extremist position when you refuse to put a number on it.
And it's so easy to do, to be transparent about your views. Most of the world falls within, a allowance of 15 to 20 weeks. Most of Europe falls between 15 to 20 weeks, and, total collapse hasn't happened. But by failing to be specific, of course, you belie your hand here, which is that they do favor totally unfettered, totally unlimited access.
Why don't they learn, though? So, I always try to put myself in the position of a candidate. And whether it's running this very expensive ad on Fox during college football, and you're misreading the tea leaves and your audience, or when she came in here, if I'm her, I always try to, okay, I'm the candidate. I'm her. What would I say politically? And the answer to me is so simple. If I'm her politically, which is the Democrats are all going to vote for you anyway. They hate Braun. They're not going to vote for Rainwater because they'd see it as throwing a vote away. You're going to get those people regardless because they're in your camp. Now you're trying to get you're into the blocking and tackling phase, right? You got to block and tackle your way to getting people to move off their position and vote for you. And on that topic, which isn't a topic that moves people in the middle, or certainly people right of center who otherwise might be disappointed with Republicans, would the answer have been, hey, look, the legislature has spoken. The legislature, the reality is I'm going to be with a Republican legislature who has no desire, even under the best of forecasts, Republicans are still going to control the General Assembly. There's no desire to revisit this issue. It's a waste of time. It's divisive. It's a waste of political capital. And I am, even if it's not where I'm at, I'm not going to waste my time on this. I'm going to get to the nuts and bolts of things that polling shows. You don't have to say polling, but the polling shows people care about, which is the price of everything, which is property taxes. It was right there for her, and she just blows it all, she being Jennifer McCormick, on this thinking abortion is some sort of silver bullet.
Democrats in Indiana have an enormous problem with connecting to Hoosier values and what is most important to them. And you can see that reflected in what has become one of the most paramount issues for Democrats, which is, of all things, nicknames. That's all they can focus on. They're so offended that you call Destiny Wells a sea hag on Twitter, and they lost their ever-loving minds. And, of course, Jennifer McCormick is really leaning into that weirdo, admittedly, Micah Beckwith comment about Democrats having Jezebel spirit.
Right.
And so she took that personally and said, Jezebel spirit? Well, that must be me. And so
she outed herself.
And so, she's running with that. But it's because they don't have anything better to talk about. They don't know what Hoosiers care about. And so they're hemming and hawing and airing their personal grievances.
I am amazed, and especially it's like Destiny Wells and Jennifer McCormick. They profess to be these real tough women, right? Like, we're fighters. You need us to come in and take on the men.
He called me a name.
Yeah, and all you get from these women is them whining about a man calling them a name. And my thing with the Destiny Wells stuff is we didn't get off CHAG because I felt bad about it. I got off CHAG because Indiana Beto is a better name and a better description of what a pathetic loser she is at the ballot box, and how she keeps running for stuff. All right, let's take a break. It's Kendall Casey Show. Ethan's in for Casey, 93 WIBC. When is the optimal time to file for Social Security? It's not just about a specific age. This decision could needlessly trigger higher taxes on your benefits and higher taxes on your IRA and 401k withdrawals. You could even double your Medicare premiums. So if you don't consider all these things, it could really cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Learn how you could wring every nickel out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Bill Demery, your retirement guy in Indy. We know and trust Bill, and you can too. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 317-932-9912. This is the one tool that could help you get the most income from Social Security, and it won't cost you a dime, even if you're not a client. Call Bill Demery today, 317-932-9912, 317-932-9912. Bill Demery, 317-932-9912. Tell him Kendall and Casey sent you.
The victims of Hurricane Helene need our help. Go to salarmy.us/IndianaEDS. That's salarmy.us/IndianaEDS. From the Salvation Army and WIBC.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9379. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9379. That's 800-575-9379. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Talking on the phone is difficult if you've been exposed to loud noises over time. Combat veterans, factory workers, farmers, gun and motorcycle enthusiasts can have trouble hearing on the telephone. Relay Indiana helps return clarity to your phone conversations. A free service providing telecom accessibility, Relay Indiana allows hard of hearing users to have normal phone conversations through specially trained relay operators. Relay Indiana also provides free loaned equipment to those who qualify. Get the CapTel caption telephone from Relay Indiana. Visit RelayIndiana.com now.
Truck drivers, are you tired of missing out on valuable time at home? At Midwest Logistics Systems, you can find a local dedicated job that gets you home every day. Plus, we offer predictable Monday through Friday schedules with occasional Saturdays. As an MLS driver, you'll haul 100% no-touch freight, earn performance and safety bonuses, and have access to full benefits. Don't wait. Upgrade your driving job today. Search jobs and apply now at MidwestLogisticsSystems.com. That's MidwestLogisticsSystems.com.
Don't you deserve health care you can count on? Well, you can count on United Healthcare with Medicare plans that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. You can enjoy reliable coverage and low out-of-pocket costs with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans. Made for Indianapolis, trusted everywhere. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today.
Earn, save, grow. It's time your money works harder and goes further with a Stockyards Bank and Trust CD. For a limited time, earn 5.15 annual percentage yield with our 5-month CD special. Proudly serving our communities since 1904. Visit any of our 5 Indianapolis area locations or syb.com/IndyCD today and experience the Stockyards Bank difference. $10,000 minimum balance required. Limited time offer. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Advent is now open in Indianapolis and Avon. Find out more at adventknows.com.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
You want to listen all day to WIBC, but you don't always have time. Don't worry. There's a podcast for that. The WIBC Mashup. Daily highlights from your favorite hosts. Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, and Hammer and Nigel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Question for you, Ethan Hatcher. Shoot. What is a fair share? You know, the Democrats always saying, we're going to make them pay their fair share, the rich guys.
Well, when somebody is cutting up a cake, the slightly bigger piece is my fair share.
Okay, so Kamala was on, why was this 60 Minutes? I can't remember which one of these things she was on, but she was on one of these programs, and she is all back in on the rich guys paying their fair share.
Of course.
My plan is about saying that when you invest in small businesses, you invest in the middle class, and you strengthen America's economy. Small businesses are part of the backbone of America's economy.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations.
Okay, so these Democrats always act as though they haven't written the tax code.
Right.
As though the tax code just wrote itself. And the Bernie Sanders and Biden and her and all these people, you wrote the tax code with all the exemptions and all the other stuff that allow people to take deductions because they give money to your campaigns.
And Trump pointed, well, yes, they give to their campaigns, and Trump pointed out it benefits them.
Yes.
Ultimately, it benefits them. That's why they haven't changed the tax code, and it is much more beneficial to use this political football to continuously run the back of your election campaigns than trying to do anything to actually solve the problem.
Well, I just always hear that phrase fair share, and I just have absolutely no idea what in the world that is, what that means. Is 60% of fair, and they don't either, and that's why they don't define it. Hey, you did a great job today.
Thanks for having me in, Rob.
Yeah, awesome job, Ethan.
I didn't even have to use my I Hate Rob Kendall shirt. I wasn't sure whether we get in a spat, so I just wanted to come prepared.
Very well done. You be sure to hear Ethan Saturday night, 7 o'clock, Saturday night on The Circle here on WIBC. Kevin, great job as always. Stick around. Tony Katz coming up next. Woo! Thank you to you. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, 93 WIBC, Kendall and Casey Show.
Jennifer McCormick backed Hillary Clinton for president. And when McCormick was in charge of education in Indiana, our schools ranked at the bottom. She even opposed school